It's time for the show that brings the magic right to your speakers. Ears up!
Hey, everybody. Here we are. Once I'm getting coasters thrown at me by a small child.
I know, and that was totally just on live stream. It was amazing.
You definitely started it as well.
She started it. She wouldn't leave me alone. How's it going, everyone? This is Ears Up Podcast, and we have a really cool show for you guys today, as we do pretty much every month, I can say. There was probably one stinker show somewhere. I can't really place it. But this one's pretty...
I bet our listeners can.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, and they have, I'm sure. We've gotten all the feedback about it. But this show's pretty cool. It's I don't know, what's it called? How to be a Disney Imagineer, I suppose?
Yes, that's what we called it.
So we have a friend on the show tonight. His name is Kyle, and he was an Imagineer on the engineering side of things, which I think is pretty cool. And of course, without the engineers, right, we would never be able to have all the berms and all the cool stuff that we have now. So we're going to chat with Kyle today about all the kind of stuff he has worked on, how he got to where he is, and if you guys are so inclined, maybe you can follow in his footsteps. He worked on the new Shanghai Disney and all that kind of stuff. So we should get some good stories out of that guy for sure. We're also going to talk to Jeremy from Spectro Radio again to chat about what is our. I don't even know what we're talking about today. I thought the Disneyland Band.
Oh,
Pretty
Nice.
cool,
that's neat.
right?
Yeah.
Aren't they gone? Well, I guess we'll find out.
Aren't they gone? Yes, they are gone. I think they're gone.
Now they're doing like college bands instead or something.
Yeah, which is kind of cool. I don't know how I feel about it. I guess. I mean, I
think
guess it's cool, right?
I miss the old guys, but that's cool. It's a good. It's finally a good change that they've made. Like it's a change that I don't hate.
Exactly. Well, maybe the old guys are actually gone.
Like, what do you mean gone?
I'm just saying. It's got to be. I mean, it's better to have the young people come in. You can rotate them in, and no one really cares. And with the old guys, it's like you have to. It has to be the same guy. You know what I mean? If you've seen, you know what I mean? If you've seen the band a few times,
I feel like you're dancing around a sensitive subject. What are you trying to say?
no, it's not. It's a little close to home, but it's not sensitive right now. It's
all
not
right.
sensitive right now. Yeah. Anywho.
Anyway, okay, so let's get started here, everybody. You know how to listen to us because you're doing it now. We're on Facebook, Twitter. So I just tweeted something out before the show. We got a cool photo of the new Velvet Elvis. We talk about the Velvet Elvis every year in the Haunted Mansion. Apparently now it is easier to find than ever. It's right on one of the pianos.
Aww.
But it's still kind of hard to see.
Interesting.
I had the same reaction. I don't know where the piano... Oh, I guess there is one piano on the left side there. It's still a little hidden, but...
I feel like it was kind of easy last year.
But you had to know to hang halfway out of your doom buggy.
That's true,
right?
that's true.
So, which you would have known if you talked to us. But anyway, so that's now on Twitter. And apparently we have a photo of a new thing, a new attraction, or not a new attraction, but a new, I don't know, display or whatever in the Haunted Mansion of Sally leaning on the tombstone. Nice. So we'll post that up in a couple, in probably a couple weeks away, if I get to it. That should be up tomorrow. Anyway, follow us on there because we don't post a whole lot, but when we do, man, it's pretty cool. Oh, also, on Facebook, I put up the Disney Moms panel is now open. Your boy has already applied.
I did as well today.
You did?
Yes, I did.
Man.
So I love the Disney Moms panel thing because... It's oddly un-PC in the world ever growing of the PC-ness,
Yes,
right?
I agree.
It's like Disney Moms panel, but anybody can apply, and you don't have to. But you have to be able to answer 10 to 20 email questions a day.
Right.
Who has time for that?
Not
That's
me.
true.
Me,
Yeah.
apparently.
Well, yeah, you do.
Yeah. But the questions are kind of cool.
You do at work. Come on.
I'm looking at YouTube videos.
I know, well, you're going to have to watch a couple less YouTube videos at work.
That is true. That is true.
If you're apprehensive about applying, I think that they've changed the questions up a little bit this year, made it a little easier to apply. I think the questions seemed a little easier, but it's basically just how would you answer this question? How would you answer this question? Like maybe we got the same one. I don't know.
What was your final question that you had to answer?
Oh God, it was if someone wanted to take a break in the park,
But didn't want to go back to the hotel.
but didn't want to go back to the hotel, where would you? So I assumed that the hotel didn't mean the Disneyland Resort hotel.
Right.
So I actually told them I would go to. What did you tell them?
Okay. So,
No, you
it
first.
It said answer it as if you're answering the actual email. So it's like,
Yeah.
hey, that's a great question. A day in the park can get really tiring, but that doesn't mean you're ready to leave. Yeah. My suggestion would be to grab yourself a nice bowl of clam chowder and an ice cold Coca-Cola at the Harbor Gallery and enjoy the view of the rivers of America and the entire waterfront of New Orleans Square.
I literally hate you.
But that's how you have to answer. That's how they answer the question.
Yeah, so I said, thank you very much for the email. Taking a break is a very important part of any Disney resort vacation.
I hate you too.
But he's right. If you look up on the Q&A,
Oh, no, I
like,
know. I've read it.
and they're actually here. Do me a favor, Bev. That mic is terrible.
I'm sorry.
Just no, it's not your fault. Shift to that mic, please. I'm sorry. I keep bouncing you around.
It's not good.
There you go.
Just move your camera.
So I said, if you're looking to stay within the parks, I would go to the Sonoma Terrace in Disney's California Adventure. There's plenty of shade there, and you can still enjoy the Disney magic. If you'd like to leave the parks, I would suggest maybe getting something to eat in downtown Disney at Ralph Brennan's, or perhaps taking a stroll around the Disney Resort. Tons of shaded areas and nooks for you to take a break in.
Nice. We're not making it.
No, we're not. No, we're not at all. Oh, God. And there was something else. There was like another one about, what would you if someone was considering staying at the Disneyland Resort Hotel, what would you tell them or suggest to them or something like that? Mm-hmm. And I think I just told them to go to concierge level.
Same thing.
Yeah, which is a great way for you to
They're
be able
gonna
to
think you guys are one person and you're just applied twice.
I'm all right with that. Like, and so my reasoning was, it was like, you can take a break from the parks, which is very important. Again, I'm all about breaking now, and you can still experience the Disney magic.
I like that.
Yeah.
I wish you could throw that whole Dick Clark voice in there. The Disney magic.
The Disney
Or
magic.
Casey Kasem. That's what it is.
That's right. So we'll see. I don't know. But anyway, go to our Facebook page and get the link. And look, man, I think you get a free trip to Disney World out of it. If you get on the mom's panel, you get some luggage, and you get to hang out with other people, I guess.
My mom was looking over my shoulder as I was doing that today. I was at her house, and she just shook her head. She's like, "Really?
Really?
That's what you're doing? Really? You want to be a Disney mom?"
you so
She really did. She really did.
You go, Mom, you should have been a Disney mom.
Exactly. Oh, so sorry, just real quick. That's the
Yeah.
other thing. I know we talked about this before on the show.
Yeah.
I'm going to touch on it real quick, if that's okay.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right. So, weird week. My dad passed away earlier in the week. And so we're getting ready for the service. And I'm going through pictures. And I remember I said before that my parents took me down to my grandma's house in L.A., dropped me off, and went to Disney World without me.
Yes.
Yes,
Very
that's right.
traumatic,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes,
Like
yes.
my therapist knows about this, okay?
Right.
So I'm going through pictures, and I see pictures of like 8 years ago of my parents in Disney World again without me. Like, what in the world?
No way. No way.
But they had no excuse. They didn't say, like, well, you had 3 kids. It was 8 years ago. We had no kids. We just weren't invited.
That's
Just
my
not invited.
favorite.
That's
They just
horrible.
don't like
You didn't even know?
I know. I didn't know. I didn't know until like yesterday, like today.
That is amazing.
8 years ago. So
Wow.
you had no kids.
I had no kids.
You had no.
Were you married?
You were married.
Oh yeah, I've
Yeah.
been married
Okay.
for almost 15 years. Now.
So
yeah.
you
Oh,
could have
wow.
gone.
I could have gone. We had money coming out of the wazoo.
Would you have
Easily.
gone? Would you have gone with your parents? Because I feel, and I don't know, because half my parents don't exist, and the other half is insane. So I don't talk to them. But I don't know if I would go on vacation with my parents. I don't know if my family's that tight, right?
I probably would have.
Yeah?
We've been on cruises together. We've done stuff like that.
Okay, well, I
probably
guess
would
in
have.
Disney World's big enough where you
Right.
don't have to do the same
Exactly.
park all the time.
I would, yeah.
Yeah?
I've gone to Disneyland with not my side of the family because sick and crazy.
Right.
But Sam's family, yeah, all the time.
Like reverse ankle grab sick, like hella sick, like catching air off the balcony or...
No, like sickly.
Oh, okay. That's
I would definitely go with my family.
Well, we've been with your
Yeah,
family.
well, yeah, but I'd go.
And they're all
I'd
insane.
even go again with my family.
You're insane too. Okay, feedback on this lovely show.
Oh.
Yeah, that can come to Taryn at earsup-podcast.com, or there's a feedback form on the website. Any compliments, go to Terrence at earsup-podcast.com. You can say hi to
Hi.
Bev at earsup-podcast, and anything else comes to Jason at earsup-podcast.com.
Everybody else gets Jason gets ears up.
Hyphen podcast. That's POD.
One
Right.
word. POD.
Well, look, the only emails we get are feedback from the forum online, so it's fine. Whatever. We have a blog. If you want to support awesome internet radio like this, and look, we do need support. This show does cost us a little bit of money to run, so your donations are acceptable, of course. You can shop via Amazon on our Amazon link, and this is all done on our homepage if you want as well. You can be a recurring donor, be a one-time donor. Go to getcovears.com, COVEARS. You can buy churro shirts. You can buy Cove Ears. That would really help us out. Support our friends. That's the About Us page and the Friends at Ears Up section or whatever. We got a little bit of time before Jeremy.
I could do feedback.
Yeah, let's do feedback. Let's say feedback to the end.
Okay.
Say feedback to the end because I know we're running up right on Jeremy, and then I told Kyle we'd get to him shortly thereafter.
Okay.
And we have gifts for Terrence. Terrence, we have a gift for you, but we're going to save that to the end as well. This is kind of going to be a long show.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
I just need to be home by 9. I'm just kidding, but not really.
Okay.
Because we're usually home by like midnight. But,
Right.
Okay.
I'm just
Well, we're only doing one show today.
I'm just
Yeah, I
kidding,
know.
but
we
not
can go
really.
long. 2.5 hour show.
2.5 hours. Perfect.
It won't be that long. Don't get me wrong, but it will be. It'll kind of be a long show, I think. Jeremy,
Hello.
my
that's
friend.
It's a good picture.
What's happening?
How you
I
doing,
heard
buddy?
you were like, well, we're going to hold off on Jeremy for a minute, but we don't know what to do in the meantime.
Did you hear that awkward silence?
I was like, well, I better get ready.
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Perfect. So I saw on the media that's social that you did the Disney half marathon or whatever it was, right?
Yes, I did.
And I was kicking myself in the tushy because our friend Push Eject was doing the same marathon. The
Really?
same, yes. And I thought about like firing off like a Facebook message to both of you at the same time, but it was like Sunday, and I think he had already left, and I'm like, oh man.
That's too bad. I mean, I wear a big Spectro radio shirt, so no one could possibly miss me, but no one says anything.
Oh, man.
That's too bad. Oh, but let's see, before we get too far afield here.
Join us as we unravel the magic behind some of Disney's most beloved pieces of music. It's Spectro time.
This magic night, a million stars will play beside us, cast a spell of light, glimmering, shimmering, carouseling round.
All right. Wow,
Glimmering,
Bev's doing the watering.
And carouseling is just how I would describe this show.
Yeah, well, you should. I think it's in your contract. All right, man. What do you got for us today? A little Disneyland band nonsense?
Well, first, I have a correction from last time.
Uh-oh.
So,
What did Terrence do now?
Do we need to get into the press room?
I got to fly out there and get in that room. So I was listening back after I was actually traveling back from Disneyland, and I was listening to the last episode that I was on, which I don't normally do. I usually listen to the ones that I'm not on.
I tried
But
that.
I was
Yeah,
like,
me too.
like, let me listen to this. And right within 5 minutes, I said a wrong date. So I want to.
Shoot.
Yeah, I know. Especially after I was like razzing Terrence a little bit last time about that press conference. So I said that the Main Street Electrical Parade was reinvented and relaunched in 1997. I meant to say 1977. So for all of those of you out there who found that, I apologize.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm owning up to it.
Well, that's good. That's important.
Yeah. Meanwhile, also, so much has happened since I was here last time. You guys apparently are keeping Paint the Night now. Like,
Really?
Oh, we are.
yeah.
Well,
Okay,
Greg
I
will
guess
be
it's just
happy.
getting a big refurb, and then it's coming back in the spring. So, or maybe even at Christmas. So, that's the latest.
That's weird. So then where does the Electric Light Parade fit in?
It's going to be like alternating. Like it's going to be there in spring because I guess I guess they're going to have Paint the Night do. So I read this all in Mice Chat. Okay, so I don't know. None of this is official.
Yeah,
but
Okay.
the biggest grain of salt.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said take it with the biggest grain of salt.
Yeah. Oh, wait, you don't like to report on rumors, do you? Maybe I'll keep my mouth shut.
No, but go ahead because I'm not doing it, and that's okay. Like you can
okay.
do it, and that's totally fine.
They're saying that Paint the Night just needs two refurbs so they can get by with it for a little while at Christmas. So it's going to come back for like a holiday run, and then they got to shut it down and like redo the costumes and like figure out a lot of the choreography. So that's when Main Street Electrical Parade will take over for a few months. And then after like 6 months of a big refurb on it, Paint the Night will be back for the long haul.
Okay,
So who knows?
interesting.
Grain of salt.
All right.
Okay, sorry. I'll keep this quick because you have a really exciting guest on tonight. So, history of the Disneyland Band. So, you all know them. They've been there for 61 years now. They originally were assembled as a group of musicians, and they were only meant to play for the opening day and then about 2 weeks that followed. And that was it. They were just going to kind of like be a temporary thing to get things kicked off. But they were so popular that they have lasted through the years. Number one, please. So that's a track from their first album recorded and released in 1956. It was recorded inside the park just about a year after the park's opening. So I just played that to get you guys in the mood, and just in case you weren't sure who I was talking about when I said Disneyland Band.
Thank you.
So to get this band going, Walt sought the assistance of England native V.C. Walker, who was commonly referred to in his day as only the Colonel. And V.C. was hired to assemble a marching band to play at the grand opening parade in Disneyland in 1955, number 2.
The town square is where the band holds forth, and those free band concerts were one of the big social highlights of the week, any week, or the Grand Opera House, where
So that is actually the band playing on July 17th, 1955, under the direction of V.C. Walker. That's from the live coverage that they did of that of the opening of the park on ABC. So I just think that's so cool that we can actually hear what happened that day. So I had to play a clip from that.
I do like it. I like going back. You know, the audio quality is not the greatest, of course, but it doesn't matter with stuff like that. It doesn't really matter. There's still that sense of history.
Yeah, it's like we can hear what they heard that day.
Yeah.
And I just think that's so cool. So, and that was Bob Cummings, I believe, he was kind of giving you a tour around town square saying, this is this, and here's the fire department. And then he got to the band. So that was basically them. So V.C. Walker was born in 1893 in England and was a member of the Sheffield Boys Brigade Band by the age of 11. He then moved to the United States in 1912, settling in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where after 10 years there, he had organized bands in 30 schools in the surrounding area before becoming bandmaster of the Marquette University Band in 1930. Walker then moved to Hollywood, where he worked at conducting the musical scores in various Hollywood motion pictures, including Annie Get Your Gun. He then organized the famous Los Angeles Elks Club Toppers Band, personally leading them in the Tournament of Roses parade each year until 1955, when he signed on as the director of Walt Disney's Disneyland Band. He was a legend in his profession. He won more than 50 awards, plus honorary titles of Colonel in Wisconsin and National Commander of the All-American Band Corps and Judges Association. And also, according to his daughter-in-law, Lucille Walker, was the inspiration for the musical The Music Man. So he has a very storied life.
Wow.
However, despite all these accolades and accomplishments, Walker cites his time at Disneyland as the pinnacle of his career, stating once, "Here I have the finest musicians in the United States, most of whom have been with me for more than 10 years. So Walker's one of these early 20th century, like, greatest generation guys, like Better Than Us, overcomes,
Yeah, for sure.
He had real struggles.
Right.
Like world wars. And he was also diagnosed with a rare crippling spinal virus that almost took his life and left him paralyzed after a few months. And doctors told him he would never walk again. Wow. And after the diagnosis, he wouldn't give up, and he spent weeks just relearning how to move one finger. And after months of painful effort, he finally began regaining control of his body. And just 1 year after he became ill, he reluctantly used a cane to lead the Disneyland band down Main Street once again, saying, "I just had to get back to my band." And a few weeks after that, he tossed the cane altogether and was fine.
Wow.
So I just think that's pretty incredible.
That is cool.
For sure.
So he retired in 1968. Now, there are some conflicting reports. Some say, D23, that he retired in 1970. However, I have the 1969 Disneyland band vinyl that records VC having retired the previous year, which would have been 1968. So I'm sorry, D23. I think I'm right.
This is why you have to double check on different things like that.
You can't just
crazy.
take this stuff for truth. You've got to double check on all those things. Walker sadly passed away in November of 1977. So now let's get back to the band. Typical day. They start out playing at Floral Mickey out front, and then they'll head to the castle. Then they'll go over and play by Mark Twain. And then their last set of the morning usually is in Town Square. In the afternoon, they split up into smaller groups of about 4 musicians each, and they're placed in different areas around the parks in roles such as the Main Street Municipal Brass and the Saxophone Quartet. So whenever you see these like little groups, that's actually just the Disneyland band guys in different costumes and smaller.
Did not know that.
And then they get back together each evening to perform at the Daily Flag Retreat in Town Square. So a few fun facts. They have logged more than 3,500 miles marching since opening day.
Wow.
Yeah. They perform more than 1,000 concerts every year at Disneyland. But their performances are not relegated only to within the berm. Each year, they perform an educational concert for 40,000 local Orange County area second graders. And they've been doing that for 30 years. And that really is to kind of educate the local kids and get them excited about music. And so I like that they do a bit in the community.
That is cool.
They feature a repertoire of 250 selections, each memorized.
Wow.
You'll notice there's no music on those instruments. They've got it all up there.
Right. Wow.
But they have a library that they can draw upon that has over 2,500 arrangements. So it's kind of like a tenth of that is always kind of in their heads, and then the rest is kind of like, in the file cabinet. They have performed in the Tournament of Roses Parade. They've been at the Hollywood Bowl. They've performed at Disney Motion Picture premieres and in dozens of cities across the country as musical ambassadors of Disneyland, and in front of visiting dignitaries ranging from prime ministers to presidents to royalty from around the world. The band has released 2 albums throughout the years. The first was in 1956, as you heard in the first clip that I played. This album was specifically recorded in the park and not in a recording studio because it was felt that the live recording from the park would lend more authenticity to the album, and so that person taking it home would really feel like they're in the park. The second album is a vinyl from 1969, shortly after the retirement of V.C. Walker, now under the direction of James Christensen. Number 3, please. So, through the years, they've had several directors. Of course, the famous V.C. Walker, who then handed it off to James Christensen, followed by Jim Barngrover, Stanford Freese, Art Dragon, and Kirk Curtis. Then, at a meeting on March 31st, 2015, the Disneyland Resort issued an end-of-run notice to the Disneyland Band stating, "The Disneyland Band current creative offering and configuration is approaching the end of its run. The last day of performance will be July 16th, 2015. So
did the trombonist go, wah, 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 wah? I would.
Right
Does
on.
not deserve applause.
Right. I mean, that's sad, man.
Yeah, it is.
It is sad.
I hate that stuff.
I mean, I was completely enraged when I first saw that.
Yeah, because you're a former band guy.
I'm a band guy. I'm
Yeah.
a Disney music guy. I'm a Disneyland history guy. Like I was like, this really stinks. But as is the case with most things on Twitter, we got a bit more information. So the band actually still does exist. The Disneyland band. I heard them this week.
Okay.
Well, so let me back up for a second. Could you play number 4, please?
Yes.
So I don't know that they normally get that kind of hooting and hollering, but that is a montage from the very last performance of the original Disneyland band on July 16th, 2015. So the Disneyland band didn't really go away. They were reimagined and premiered with a new look and sound on July 17th, 2015, the next day. Also, the park's 60th anniversary.
Oh, okay.
Number 5.
I get it. I get it. Sounded very Star Trek-y.
It's Soren.
Yeah, it was Soren.
Is it
Soren.
Soren?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. So the new band, it is different cast members. The original band members were given the opportunity to audition to go into this new higher energy band. And if you've seen the new Disneyland band, they do a bit of choreography. There's a bit more audience interaction. And they're working in some of these new tracks, like the Soren soundtrack. I walked into Disneyland on Sunday. I was like, oh my God, they're playing Soren. Like, this is crazy. So I think it's kind of a good thing. And from what I understand, and this is, I read this, but I wasn't able to verify it, that those band members who were given the opportunity to audition weren't fired. They were just reassigned to other areas of the park. So there are other places that they can play. So that quelled my my inner anger about
Fury.
this. And I like what they've done with it. I love that they're playing Soren, and they still play the classics, but they're working in some new stuff. So that is my history of the Disneyland band. I would like to give special thanks to Maxwell Glick, who has a great YouTube channel and let me use parts of his recording from the very last day. You can find him on YouTube at Mr. Cheesy Pop with a Z, and on Twitter at Maxwell Glick.
He'd fit right in with us with the Z and stuff, man.
Yeah, he changed it just so it would make sense on the show.
You know, I knew I had a feeling that somebody would do that eventually. Awesome stuff.
There you go.
Man.
There you have it.
That's really cool. Thank you.
And that was a good one too.
Yeah, do you know if any of the original members made it into the new band?
I don't know. But what I will say is the original members, none of them was there. Like the longest that they had been in was 40 years. No one from July, 1955 was still alive in the current band. So they were legacy guys, but they weren't necessarily the originals because I don't know that,
Gotcha.
that you'd have to have some life expectancy to still be doing that.
You were 12 when you joined it.
But I don't know if any of those original guys did re-audition, if they were accepted. I don't know.
They were getting up there. Probably took it as a nice retirement.
Hopefully.
I think-
Hopefully they're still being able
hopefully
to
they weren't offended.
provide some entertainment.
Yeah.
I think that'd be such a cool job, man. To you've been playing music at clearly a high level for a long chunk of your life. What better?
Yeah.
I mean, you spend the day in the park putting on 4 or 5 shows or whatever. That'd be fun.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah.
That'd be super fun.
Yeah, it's got to be awesome.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and your interaction with the crowd is limited. It's not like you're taking tickets or or whatever they do. I don't know.
Right? Or you're in a costume and you got to deal with all that stuff. No, you're walking around drumming, and then you start walking and you're out. You're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. All right, Jeremy, thanks, dude. I appreciate it. I appreciate it very much.
I can't wait to hear the rest of the show. I'm so excited.
No, me either.
Us too.
Yeah. All right, man.
All right,
We'll talk to
you
you
later.
Bye.
Welcome to the splendor, the spectacle, the sparkling sensation,
Of sparkling
the romance,
sensation.
the comedy, and the thrill of Disney fantasies come to electric life.
Sounds like Emo Phillips. I think the Disneyland band is amazing. That voiceover right there.
I love Jeremy. That guy's awesome.
Yeah,
I know,
he's
right?
very cool.
Isn't he a good
I
dude?
can't wait to meet him someday.
I know, and it's like we never will, I feel. Our ships will always pass in the night.
I hope one day we
I do too. It'd
Get
be
that
cool
opportunity.
to hang out in the park with that guy,
totally.
Yeah, I think so too.
and just run around and just.
I feel like he's
be
part of the
weird.
show now. We just don't know him.
That's true.
No, he is part of the show.
No,
Definitely.
but I mean, like, I feel like I don't know.
He's one
I
of
feel
us.
like he's one of us.
Yeah, the weirdo.
I'm gonna invite him to my birthday.
Wow, that's the sign right there.
It is, right?
When you get invited to the birthday, shoot.
Well, Jeremy, you're in luck. You may actually be invited to be one of Terrence's new kids, godfathers. So
No, because we have no more kids on the way, so we're good.
Well, yes.
Stop.
I don't believe that.
Stop.
I don't believe that.
Stop.
It's just every time you've said this, inevitably there's like another kid.
No, I'm sorry. Stop is what I was saying to myself. Stop.
Oh, okay.
Stop.
Got it. I wasn't entirely
Gotcha.
sure. Wasn't entirely sure. Whatever. Okay, we're gonna get Kyle on the phone here, and it's time to dial up the show, man. I'm excited about this.
Be good.
Kyle seems like a smart dude, and and like that. Kyle, are you there, buddy?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Perfect. Thanks for joining us. This is going to be a good show. I have a good vibe about this. I have a good feeling.
I don't know. I'm terrible on voice. I mean, I don't know why you would ever pick me to be a guest.
Well, because your check cleared. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope that money's going somewhere good.
Oh yeah.
So-
Well, look, I got my down payment for my Tesla. So
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Podcasting-
You keep talking about it. You need to finally get it.
I know, right? Podcasting is such a lucrative business to get into.
Exactly. I mean, you just bribe people and they pay you to be on your show. I
Yeah.
mean, that's how it works, right?
Yes. The golden microphone I'm speaking into now is paid for by Jeremy from Spectral Radio. So,
Wait, I thought I paid for the segment.
well, look, we split it. That's how advertising works, man. That's how.
All right.
No, in all seriousness, man, I really appreciate you taking the time. Yeah, so anybody listening live on the live stream, if you have any questions, Taryn, if you wouldn't mind
I got it.
trying to help me out, or maybe Bev, whoever's in the chat. I'm in there
Bev's
too,
gone.
but I may be, not paying attention. So if you guys have any questions for Kyle, you up for answering any questions that come through?
Yeah.
I probably should have cleared that with you first. Before,
No, you're good. Don't
before
worry.
throwing it. Okay, so let's get into it, man. You were an Imagineer. You're no longer an Imagineer at Disney,
Yep.
and
that's
you
correct.
were on the engineering side,
Yeah, I was on the land and development engineering side.
land and development. Okay, so you were an engineer, Imagineer.
Yep.
That's not
Well,
confusing at all.
it's imagination and engineer smashed
well,
together to make one word, which is
that's true.
imagine ear.
Imagineer.
Yep.
How long were you doing that gig for?
About a year and a half.
Okay. And how do you now? So this is here. See, and I'm still confused because we talked before the show about how this is going to go, and I still don't know the best way to lay out the interview, man, because I want to learn about being an Imagineer, but I want to learn about what you've done. So maybe can you just kind of run through really briefly what you've done, and maybe we'll cherry pick some of those things to chat about, and just kind of keep it really informal and amazing like this.
Yeah, so 90% of the time that I spent working at Imagineering, I was working on Shanghai Disneyland Resort.
Okay.
So I was helping develop what's called grading plans and site development plans. And what that means is we came in, or my team basically developed how the park is actually sloped to make sure that everything drains and that your sight lines all match up and that your buildings are placed at the right elevation. And then we also made sure that all of the utilities run properly through the park so that water can get to this building, power can get to that building, et cetera, et cetera. So we handled all the infrastructure and the stuff you never notice or appreciate, except when it goes wrong.
Yeah, when there's a flood or something doesn't drain.
Exactly.
Like, whose problem is this? The guy who's no longer even on the project. Well, that's cool. So you're pretty much the first boots on the ground, I would guess, as far as like the construction goes, right?
Yeah, we had teams there actually monitoring the construction throughout the whole process. So
that's really cool. How was dealing with that? I would imagine with I don't want to say the language barrier, because that's assuming that you didn't have that nobody spoke English and you guys were just kind of like, you know, drawing hieroglyphs out on paper. But like, was there any sort of like complications with that regard? Like, you know, because we did a show once, right, where a Disney news segment where there was the translation errors, or not translation errors, but the translation of the names on certain rides didn't match up, right? Did you run into any of that during the construction? I would imagine that our vernacular for certain construction is not the same as it is in other parts of the world.
No, totally. We do things totally different than China does in some ways, and because of that, things never match up. And when you say you're a translator, you know, most people translate just general English and what they're talking about, but we needed people who could translate engineering jargon. And a lot of people would say that they're that type of translator, but they didn't know that specific jargon. So it would make things really complicated. And, you know, there's some people who can speak, and then there's other people who can read and write. And there was tons of miscommunications across the board throughout the whole entire project, but we got it all together and in line with some hard work and some dedicated people.
How long were you working on the plans for that before the ground was even broken?
Years.
Really?
Years upon years upon years, yeah.
So this has been in the work for a lot. Wow. I can't even imagine. I mean, that's, I don't know. I get weird about, you know, being under pressure, like with things that I have a lot of responsibility for, which is why I talk on the radio, because no one really cares. But that would freak me out a lot, man. But I guess you've been through a lot of schooling for this, so you're kind of qualified.
Well, and it helps that we break it up into portions. So like we do different pieces at a time and make those individual submittals and stuff like that, so that we can stay on schedule. I mean, not that they did, but
which is probably inherent in any construction thing, right? I mean,
yeah, I mean, a lot of projects slip. China does things a lot differently than the U.S. does, and because of that, Disney ran into a lot of things that they weren't expecting. Like I remember when we were at the very beginning, we were trying to pick out a type of manhole, which is, you know, those drainage inlets that you see everywhere, for drainage. And we were trying to pick one out. And China was handing us these specs, and we were looking at it. And we asked the lady to translate what the rebar was, because it looked like it was way too close. And she said it was bamboo.
What?
Yeah, they built things with bamboo back there all the time. And, that wouldn't fly for the type of loads and stuff that we were looking for, the weight that we wanted to put on it. Those parade floats are heavy. So we had to make them switch it to rebar, and then none of the contractors wanted to do it. And it was back and forth discussions until finally we found someone who could agree. So
I can't imagine that anything would fill me with less confidence than walking through the park and seeing a structure held up with bamboo.
Totally.
Like if I saw that, I guess I would just assume that it's some plussing, right? Where it's just there's actually rebar underneath it, but it's just coated around, and so it makes it look cute and whatever, right?
I would be terrified to find out that it was actually bamboo.
I am terrified of many structures in China right now.
Well, don't go. Cancel your trip.
Okay, done.
Okay, great.
Oh, Becky has a question about that goes along with this line of speaking.
Yeah.
Do the parks in other countries get built to U.S. standards, or the country that they're being built in standards?
Good question.
That's a great question. For insurance purposes, the parks are built to U.S. standards unless the country standards exceed the U.S. design standards.
Which never happens.
Right.
No, it happens a lot, actually.
No.
Surprised.
Okay, yeah. Actually, I probably wouldn't.
It's different focuses, in the U.S. we might not have as much rain as we do in China, or things might not be as wet. So because of that, you need different design parameters built in.
Ah.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And now, do you have to keep up with all that, or is that part of your research package? When they go, hey Kyle, we're going to build a park in China, and then you have to come up with all that kind of stuff?
Luckily, I did not. I know there's great people who did, but a lot of it's also just communication. Whenever Disney built the plans and we went through the plan. They were reviewed by China, and there were representatives there from their best engineering firms, making sure that everything was up to their code as well as our code.
Okay. The whole thing is fascinating to me. I don't know why. I don't know why it is, but two companies coming together in a foreign nation, building a thing that's sort of like what we have here. I don't know.
More than two. There was a ton of hands involved in this project.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Wow. What a huge undertaking, man.
Yeah.
Did you get to? Well, I imagine you got to go over there.
I haven't been able to go over there since the park's been built, so I'm looking forward to doing that someday soon, though.
But you were over there during the construction and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I actually was. Not for work. I went over there for other reasons.
Okay.
But I did get a chance to stop by the site.
And was it? Did you approve? Did it meet with your approval over there? Or were you like, that is not on the plans?
To be completely honest, I spend most of my time in the office, and a lot of what goes on to construction sites, like I can tell what's going on a lot more, but inspecting individual elements is beyond me, and I'm not rated enough. And I'll look at the photos of the Star Wars line construction right now, and I'll be like, yep, they're putting up walls.
Yeah, I know what that is.
Yep. And that's about it. That's all I can tell.
How they doing with that Star Wars land over there? Doing all right?
I actually know nothing about that. So you know as much as I know.
I don't know anything. I know that it's going to be one.
Yeah, supposedly. I mean, supposedly that new planet, whatever that is, and for all we know, that could be Mickey Town.
Right. Okay, well, let's get into what kind of schooling and stuff. Like, how does one become an Imagineer? Let's start with that, man. Well, let's pretend Terrence wanted to do that.
Okay. Well, the first thing I'd tell him is stop thinking you want to be an Imagineer. And before you freak out, I don't mean that in like you're not going to be able to do it, because you can do it, and I believe in you. But
thanks, Kyle.
Yeah, but you got to stop thinking that that's what you want to do. Instead, you got to be thinking about what you actually want to do for Imagineering. So it's important to discover what you enjoy doing and why you like to do it and how you can do it for them. Okay. So, if you want to be an architect, they have architects, they have designers, they have engineers. They have people who build models of things all day. They have people who do art design. They have tons of different people, and you just have to first figure out what you want to do. Yeah, a lot of people skip that step, believe it or not.
Just generally want to be an Imagineer.
Yeah, and then they go to school and they study something and they realize they don't enjoy it, and they get to Imagineering or they don't even get to Imagineering because it comes out during the interview if you don't have a passion for what you do. So you need to have a passion in what you do. That's
for the
really
specific focal point of your efforts.
Yeah, I mean, you need to be the best at what you do. So
it's like I love building props. That's my thing. That's what I do on the weekends. I do it for like my kids' parties and cosplay and all that kind of stuff. That gets you a lot farther than I don't know. I just like having fun.
Yeah, exactly. Honestly,
so if you go into the interview and say, for instance, you are someone who likes to build props, would you say, "Hey, I like to build props," and bring some props in, or do you have to have some kind of idea of what you would like to do for the within the park itself, as far as this is like a green belt project. If you're Six Sigma, this is what I think needs to be improved. This is what I think needs to change within the park.
Whoa!
Don't worry about it. Hang on a second.
What in the world just happened?
I don't know. Things are happening. Kyle, hang on.
So fun.
So like I'm saying, do you have to bring in something so they can actually see what you would like to do within the parks, as far as what your idea is to do within the parks?
I mean, I know prop people, and they probably would do that anyway. But the answer to your question is no.
Okay.
I mean, they're not looking for people who, again, they're looking for people who are passionate in what they do.
Oh my
not
God.
necessarily what they can provide for Disney.
Hi, I'm.
You know what I hate more than anything?
Is when I'm trying to ask a question and you're playing music in the background.
Yeah, and I'm surfing YouTube. No, man, I'm trying to get Disney News together, and these friggin' videos just autoplay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it bugs. Sorry, I apologize, Kyle. That's totally rude, but
Great
I'm trying to
interview, by the way.
multitask
Terribly
at the
rude.
same
I'm just
time.
gonna hang up right
I think
now.
you should. I think you
would.
should.
He gone.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
But doing things outside of it, like doing models on the side and communicating that's huge, and that's something that they're really going to see, and they want to make sure that you're just passionate in what you're doing. So you should definitely do that, and you should bring them in if you can, if it's something like that. But I mean, if you're in that position, you probably already know that, to be honest.
So do you find that most Imagineers are imaginative, or are most Imagineers just really good at doing the same thing over and over again?
I'd say neither. Imagineering is really eclectic in the type of people that they hire, and it's just people again who are passionate. So some of them, like a lot of engineers, are really good at doing the same thing over and over again, and there's definitely those types of people there. But there's the creative people too, who do different things every day and don't even have a set schedule really, because they're jumping from project to project, item to item, doing something really interesting and weird.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So I saw in your outline that you sent over, one of the things you said, think about what you want to do for Imagineering, and one of them is come up with land ideas. How many jobs are there doing that? Because I think that's what I would want to do. And how, it's like, how do you? And you may not know the answer to this, may be totally out of the scope of what you are dealing with. But how does that happen? I imagine. Let me see if I just want to be smart for a second. I'm an Imagineer. That you just kind of take somebody with a well-rounded set of disciplines to be able to like be in charge of this land, like a Tony Baxter or something like that.
Well, Tony Baxter, people like Tony Baxter, those portfolio managers that you're kind of talking about, those people have come up in the ranks, and they've had a passion, and they've been there for years, and they've done great work, and they've demonstrated that they've been in a lot of positions. When you start, if you're so the people who come up with land ideas, they're called a creative team. And when you start in the creative team, you actually get to do a lot of things, but they're very, very small. Like I had a friend who was in creative, and when she got started, she was working on the new Fantasyland in Disney World, and she was working on the Beast Castle, and they were doing, I forget which room it is. I think it's the library room in the West Wing, but there's a painting on the wall of, it must be the East Wing, but there's a painting on the wall of Belle and the Beast, and they had to come up with what the painting would be. And I remember her telling me that they had days of arguments on whether it could be in the summer or it had to be in the winter, because the Beast was never together with Belle in the summer. But they wanted to show the Beast and Belle together, but they were never together in summer, so it wouldn't be canon. Oh my God, so.
Oh wow!
Oh, because he's in Beast form in the photo, not.
It's Beast mode.
I apologize. He's going full Beast mode in the portrait. Okay, wow.
But those are the kind of arguments that I would love.
Oh yeah, no.
That is so much fun, right?
Yeah, and honestly, anyone in Imagineering can kind of get a touch of that type of work. They have design competitions on house, and they do these blue sky meetings, which I'm sure you guys have heard of, that everyone can get involved in. It's pretty cool.
That's and the blue sky is just for the people who don't know, right? What is the blue sky thing?
Basically, you're locked in a room, and you're given a task, and it's a very broad task. And it could be like come up with a new ride for Star Wars Land. And you spend set X hours coming up with an idea, and the sky's the limit, as they like to say. Okay. So that's why it's called a blue sky meeting.
Okay.
So you don't have to stay grounded. You can just do things. If it doesn't work, they put it in a drawer somewhere, and they come back to it someday, hopefully. Because there's a lot of ideas in the drawer.
Even if it's insane, it can always just be evolved into something.
Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe it's good for a cartoon or something. Who knows?
So
exactly.
Have you been part of these meetings, the blue sky?
Yeah, I did a couple.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I did some stuff with the Magic Band, actually.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Go on.
Good question.
Yeah, go on. I heard Magic Bands.
Well, like the Magic Band is a new tech still, and even though they spent $3 trillion building all the Magic Band stuff, they haven't done it all yet. And there's a lot of things that you can use that technology for that they're trying to still do. So there was a design competition at one point, actually, where they wanted people to assemble in teams and come up with ideas for the use of the Magic Band that they haven't thought of yet. And I was on one of those teams. And I know you want to hear the idea.
Yes,
you?
I do.
Yeah. Sure do.
I know you do, don't you?
But you can't tell us.
Oh, I can't. I'm sorry.
Oh, man. Oh, that's all right.
That's all right.
No, I can tell you. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Anyway, so the idea, it actually isn't my idea that won. I can't tell you mine. but I can tell you another. So you're at the park and you're 6 or 7 and you're visiting, or you're an adult and you're visiting one of the princesses, like one of the live princesses, right? And let's say you're at Florida and you're staying in one of the hotels. Well, that night when you get back to your room, there'll be a handwritten letter on your
Oh my
bed
God.
from the princess
That's amazing.
with your photo in it, because they had your magic band and all that information's in there, and they can link it all together.
That's fantastic.
That's insane.
That's
an
amazing.
idea that somebody that won the design competition, and it's something that they're trying to bring to the park someday still.
Oh my God.
That would be so cool.
That's a great idea.
You should get some college kids, some interns, just handwriting letters, but a handwriting farm.
Well,
That's Disney magic.
Yeah, handwriting, we'll see if they actually end up doing that.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, yeah.
Oh, I hope they do. That's so
That's
nice.
really good idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea, man.
Should write it in cursive. None of the kids will know how to read it.
They're like, what is this? Why is it written in Yugoslavian? Okay, so we figured out what we want to do. Okay, either come up with land ideas, design props, be an engineer, or anything like that. Then what?
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you the obvious. Go to school.
Okay.
Prep yourself to be the best in your field.
I'm out
right?
already.
Oh yeah, I know. And then go again. You know, take extra classes. You know, do whatever you can to keep doing it and be passionate and never stop doing it. So if you leave school and you can't get the job with Imagineering right away, you just keep working on it. So while you're doing that, right, you need to start applying, and you need to start applying for jobs in Imagineering whenever you're on campus. And it's actually really easy to apply for jobs in Imagineering. You actually go to the Disney Careers website, and they'll say that they're for Imagineering, and you can click on a box and just say, I want Imagineering jobs, and they'll list all the openings that they have right now. And you should just start applying for the ones that you're qualified for. Even if you're not totally qualified, but it's like in your realm, you should apply, and you should keep applying.
Like, I'm sorry to cut you off. What do you mean if it's not in your realm? Because I think that's important. How gray area can you get with stuff like that?
Well, I mean, if you're here's the way I would make the rule of thumb is if you're passionate about it, if you know something about it, if you can communicate it, then it's still within your realm.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
So, like, if you're like a prop designer, let's say, I don't know why I keep going back to props. I think because I like the word prop. And then you want to be, maybe there's a job in, like, I don't know, painting or character design or something like that. Maybe you can combine those two because you're still designing and constructing something.
Yeah, I mean, you can showcase the characters that you've done with your props, and you can talk about the depth of them, because I mean, you just can talk about what you like doing about it. So,
okay,
you know, as long as you can do that, I think that you're good. So,
are they pretty lenient as far as kind of what you know in that certain industry? So, like, let's say in that example, you're more of a prop guy, but there's a job in like character creation. Let's just pretend that that's a job. Will they go, okay, hey, look, this guy has a lot of drive. He has a lot of passion. He has a lot of good ideas. They don't really fit for character design, but we can bring him in and kind of put him on the team, and he can kind of learn that way.
If you're young and in college, yes. If you're, 40 and have a degree and have experience behind you, no. But
okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you'll outprice yourself for the job basically without trying. So.
So they look at your age and what you want for a paycheck and be like, it's too much for the work we have to put in to train you for that position?
No, it's not so much that. It's more so like they can't mold you. You know, you're gonna be retired by the time you're like fully grown into that position type thing.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
So so you really do have to start in college.
Yeah, I mean, when I talk about something later, you'll see why you have to start in college. And I'm not saying you can't get in there if you don't. Because you definitely can. Yeah. But it helps a lot. It puts you ahead of the game. So. Okay.
And that's not just Disney. That's a lot of these major companies too that are kind of harder to get into. That's why these kids should do these internships. I never did, and I regret it. But that's what you do. You do those, and you meet people, and you do that stuff. And I think that really helps you along the way.
Well, I know there's.
If you don't mind, I really agree, because I mean, no matter what job you're going for, you should really address it with this setup, because all companies are looking for people like this. It's not just Disney. Disney's not looking for anything special. So it's the same thing everyone's looking for.
I mean, what do you think about this movement of you don't need college? College is too expensive, and for the amount of time it's going to take you to pay off your student loans, you could be getting a different job and be sort of debt free, all that kind of stuff. What do you think about that?
Do the math. Most of the time, if you do that, you'll pay off college and end up with more money in your life still anyway. I mean, don't get me wrong, college debt is way too high and all that stuff, and I'm not going to get political about it, but, go to college, get an education. Why deprive yourself of that? Just having the luxury of knowing something.
Yeah. Yeah, and
I mean,
especially if you want to do these kind of higher level positions, right? I mean, they're not going to hire you at Disneyland or Disney rather, a $1 billion company multiple times over that they're trying to increase that revenue. They're not going to trust a project in the hands of someone who they don't know if they can complete 4 years of school or not.
Yeah, and I'll tell you something that they probably won't like me telling you, but if you work in the park, that doesn't look good on your resume.
Interesting.
Really?
It used to back in Tony Baxter's day.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's like, well, what else could you have been doing that fits your career?
Huh.
Wow.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. Unless it fits, it could fit. There's certain management jobs that could fit, but
okay.
For most jobs, it doesn't help.
Like if I want to design the perfect churro, I should be selling churros.
I wouldn't say you should be selling churros.
Okay.
You should be practicing making churros.
Okay, yeah, you're probably right. That's interesting, and I would have
Somewhere other than Disney.
I would have totally thought that getting a job in the company anywhere would be preferable to not getting a job in the company and trying to get what you want. Does that make sense? Is that dumb to say? Does that make sense?
No, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you would think, you hear these stories too, like Tony Baxter, who worked at a hot dog stand and got picked up that way.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, honestly, again, they're looking for people who are passionate. And if you're so passionate, what are you doing spending 8 hours a day selling hot dogs?
Right. Smelling like hot dogs.
Why not take the unpaid internship for 3 months and then get a real job after that at the creative design at Apple or something? You know what I mean?
Wow.
So.
Yeah, they want to see you working toward a specific goal. It sounds like.
Exactly.
What about? Let's talk a little bit about what you can do on your free time. So we've covered the college. Let's say you're still going to school. You want to be the best in your field. You're taking any extra classes. Anything else that we can do to kind of pad our resume to make us look better for the Imagineering folks?
So there's something really cool that Disney has, and it's actually the number one way that you can actually get in the company, and it's a competition called Imaginations, and it's a design competition held once a year through Imagineering, where in the past it's been open forum, where you just come up with something and you submit it, and if you win, you get to go to Imagineering. But nowadays they give you design something that's themed to the moon, design a restaurant, design a new tech. They give you something specific.
Mm-hmm.
But what you can do is you can actually enter this competition and work on an entry for this competition, because that's actually their number one way nowadays for hiring new Imagineers too. So it's a very, very, very cool thing. It's a lot of fun. It's all team-based, so you got to know people who want to do this type of thing too. But great minds think alike, right? So
the Ears Up podcast team.
There we go.
Can anybody enter it, or is it just people who are smart?
Yeah. Between the four of us, there's one college degree.
You need to be either a college student or a member of certain accredited art institutes.
Neither of which are either of us.
Disney Moms Club count.
Disney Moms panel. Yeah, man, we Terrence and I applied for the Disney Moms panel today.
I know. I was listening to the show today. I wish you guys luck with that.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
I hope brotherly instincts really come out.
They really do. I want to protect everybody. So the Imaginations. Okay, so
actually, wait 1 sec.
Yes.
Going back to that, can
Yeah.
you stop telling people about the Sonoma Terrace?
I know, right? I
Because
know.
it's so small, and when people start figuring out that they can go there instead of the Cove Bar, it's not going to be fun anymore.
That is true.
I know.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, my ego is telling me that we are the reason why Carthay Circle is super popular now.
Totally.
Because I swear to God, when that I know, right? When that thing was built, nobody was in it. We would go
And now
in.
there's a line.
Oh my God! I know, right?
I'm like, what happened? I went back like after 3 months. I'm like, what? Why am I waiting outside? What do you mean I can't go in?
Yeah.
Dude, I felt like, you know that story, I think it was last year at the Oscars or the Grammys or whatever it was. Maybe it was this year. Paul McCartney got denied into a VIP party. And, and they were like, no, I'm sorry, you can't go in. And he's like, how much more VIP do you need to get? Then Paul, you know what I mean? Like he said it to the, anyway, that's how I felt at first when I found out that there was a line now for Carthay, where it's like I'm just walking in like I'm Paul McCartney, and they go, no, sorry, all these people are in front of you, and I'm like, whoa, I built this place, yeah, right? I can break you. I don't know. I don't really think that, but it is kind of weird. The more we started talking about it, well, look, and you know, Mouse Brew was the one who told us about the cinema disc, because honestly, I would never have even known about it.
Yeah, I did not know it was there.
Because, in my opinion, that whole stretch of DCA between Cars Land and like you know, Little Mermaid Land, it doesn't exist. There's it's a restaurant. Okay, fine. Never gonna eat there. Never cared. Anyway. Okay, so let's see. Now we got, I'm looking at my thing here. Oh, we got some questions. Let's take some questions. Let's break and take some questions here.
Oh, we had one that just came through that has to do with what we're talking about.
Okay, go ahead.
Would an internship look better than the Disney College program?
Good question.
That's a great question. And I honestly don't have a good answer for that. I think it depends mainly on what you want to do. If your Disney College program is in the field that you're really trying to get into, then I say go for it. But otherwise, I'd go for an internship.
Okay.
Jeffrey in the chat says, what types of engineering disciplines are employed at the parks?
Everything.
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 How many are there? Like, what? I don't even really. I'm not very smart. So. Okay.
I mean, the only one I could probably rule out is nuclear engineer, but they still probably have a use for you somewhere. There's aeronautical engineers, nuclear, mechanical, civil, structural, electrical, communications, software. I can keep going.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like they kind of don't really discriminate as far as brains go.
Yeah, I'll tell you. At Imagineering, there's basically 4 teams. There is the creative team who come up with everything. There's the ride team, which are the engineers and the creative people who actually design the rides. There is the land and development team, which does the layout of the parks, and they do all the outside architecture. And then there is the management team, and they basically run Imagineering and the parks. And they don't really run the parks because obviously there's the local things, but they handle everything. So, yeah.
Okay. And then Jeffrey follows up. He says, do you have to be imaginative to be an Imagineer? It sounds like the department is a mix of engineers and artistic types. Is that correct?
You do not have to be imaginative to be an Imagineer. You have to be imaginative if your job's to be imaginative.
Yeah.
That's why you need to, choose the job that you look for.
Okay, so if you're better at fitting within a box, like following directions, saying, hey, make this berm so we don't break line of sight and we can still have a show building here and do the thing. And you're like, I'm totally on it. That's fine. But if they go, hey, design a prop. Here we go with the props again. That functions or have these 2 levers, like that. Maybe not so much.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of engineers there who were literally just, I won't say 8 to 5, but they were head in their paper doing their design, and that's really all there was to them. And there were a lot of engineers there who were people who wanted to go out, talk to everyone, get involved in different aspects of the company, and get really imaginative. So you can be either way if it fits your job.
Okay.
You can't be a creative person without having an imagination, though. So.
Well, that's true. That's true. Here's another one. Any unusual competencies or values that Disney looks for that differs from other engineering companies? That's a complicated question. That's a good question.
That's a very good question.
I mean, honestly, as an engineer, personality, I think, is a huge thing. They don't want to hire a drone, and a lot of engineering companies want drones. I hate to say it.
Okay.
People who can produce. They want people who can produce and can have fun doing it and can click with their different departments. There's a lot of communication and Imagineering that you don't get at other places, because every team is there. So like as an engineer today, I don't work with any other disciplines directly. They're all different companies. But when I was there, I could walk 2 cubes down and talk to the landscape architect. I could walk 2 cubes in the other direction and talk to the actual architect. And me having personal relationships with them and being able to understand things from their point of view and talking to them and stuff like that was a huge benefit to my job. And it made me way more successful for them.
What's the difference in personality types within that same discipline? Does that change? Because as you grow your team and you get to work at especially a place like this, I would imagine there's tons of different personality types, and you have to be successful communicating with the introvert and the extrovert and the guy who's really irritating and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, big companies are like high schools. You gotta navigate the high school lunch ground, just like you have to navigate the sea of cubicles.
Okay, all right. So you can't easily get irritated at your fellow coworkers, because that would be me. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I can't hide that. I'm very bad at hiding that, but it sounds like I wouldn't be very successful.
Well, I mean, if you're really good at your job, you'll be good, but it just helps. I'm trying to tell you everything that could help. Everyone can have a quirk. Everyone has a quirk. So don't discount yourself just because of your quirk.
Well, that's true. I mean, look at Kim Irvine. She destroyed Club 33, and she still has a job there. Oh! Wow! Burn!
Wow.
Sorry.
Nobody in this room will ever get a job at Imagineering.
Nah, you just ruined it for everyone.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Withdraw your applications. I had to. It was funny. Okay, so let's talk about the job application process, if you want to talk about that. So we have our degree. We've graduated college. How do we start getting? We apply at the Disney Jobs site. What you're saying, right?
Yeah. So I mentioned the site and I mentioned Imagination. So those are 2 things that you can do.
Yeah.
Now, hopefully through that, you'll be able to figure out. You'll get contacted by someone usually. They don't usually just have the system, or there'll be the name of the person or a job number that you'll have some sort of information. From there, you need to figure out who the HR rep for that job is. And this is a technique that a lot of people don't like to do, but you basically need to cold call this HR rep and get in their face. So whether that is cold calling, I mean, you need to do it.
Find them in the parking lot and
no, you don't stalk. Keep it professional. But call them up, send them emails, send them voice messages, talk to them regularly. Try to talk to them regularly.
Okay. Are they cool with that? I mean, do they expect that sort of thing?
Yeah, they expect that sort of thing. Now, emails, yes. I mean, don't call them every day, but send them an email once a month, once every 2 months. Even if there isn't a position open, just stay in contact with them and let them know that you're still interested. This is what you've done to improve yourself since you've applied. This is what you're currently doing, so on and so forth.
Because that's so contrary to my personality, where I hate sales. I'm like the world's worst salesperson because I hate sales, but I've been in sales a long time, so it's very weird. But I would never do that. I would never do that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people wouldn't. I mean.
But I guess that's so. What you're saying is these people, these reps or HR reps or recruiters or whatever, that's what they're used to doing. That's what they're used to dealing with. And if you don't do it, you're kind of not in the norm.
Well, jobs these days are about who you know.
Okay.
And if you don't know someone to get you an in, to get your name put on top of that pile, you need to do this. You need to push yourself to get the name in. And you can do it the other way too. Rather than calling the HR person, you can actually go and try and figure out who's the head of civil engineering at that, place and try and call that person directly. I don't really recommend that because they're not looking forward to that and they don't want to be in communication with you usually.
Yeah.
But the HR person, it's their job. honestly.
And so there, because in my mind, the HR person will be like, okay, here's Jason again, and I'm gonna go, yo, yeah, that sounds great. Hang up the phone and not enter any. But do they have like a? And you may not know this. Do they have like a file where they're okay? Here's Jason checking in. Let me update his information in the system to the point where somebody can actually look at that, or am I overthinking the whole thing?
No, you're not overthinking it, but I'll tell you they definitely do not have a file, and I can get into that story later. But but I'll tell you that what I know personally is I got a contact of an HR director for the land development group when I was in college, and I emailed that person about once a month and did exactly what I'm talking about. And after 6 months, she finally responded for the first time.
Wow.
And said, "Thanks for the emails. I really appreciate that you keep sending these. There's nothing open right now, but we're happy that you're looking. Keep working hard." And then I kept emailing and kept doing it. And then she never talked again. But then all of a sudden another HR person reached out to me. And I spent maybe 4 months emailing and talking to her. And we just made conversation as well in the emails because, that's what you do. You be personable.
Mm-hmm.
And then eventually she helped me find, she came to me with the opportunity. I didn't even come to her.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yep.
That's where a lot of the personality, I think, comes into it, too. You have to have a positive and happy sort of confident personality, I think, to get a job this way.
Yeah. It's definitely but this is what you need to do if you're looking for that single company, if you're really going for that one job, because there's millions of people in the world, but there's only that one position, and you need to make sure that you're the best person in that position.
Yeah, and I guess there's only that one Disney. And
right.
if your goal is to work at Disney, it's different than if you just want to work in theme parks. There's theme parks everywhere.
Right.
I'll tell you, that was when I was in high school. That was it for me. I was like, I want to work for Disney. I want to be an Imagineer. And I'm telling you some of my lessons that I've learned, and what I did that worked. So
cool.
That's crazy, man.
Yep.
That's crazy. Okay, let's do some more questions here real fast. What's the typical hiring process?
It's your standard fare. You get contacted by someone in HR. If you're selected, you go through a round of interviews, maybe another round, maybe even another round. And then once you're done, you submit your information. They do a background check, and then you start your first day. Now, if you're going through Imaginations, it's a little bit different. In Imaginations, what they do is if you get brought in, and you get to actually present your design in front of the Imagineering team. And then they do breakout sessions where you get to meet some of the head people at Imagineering. You get to visit some of the departments and see what they do. They involve you in a blue sky session. They give you a tour of the park that's like an Imagineering tour.
Oh.
And then if they like you, they give you an offer too.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That sounds awesome and terrifying.
Yeah.
All at
Yeah,
once.
it's very Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
It is very well.
You get a tour, and if they like you, you own the company. And so I don't think I've ever told this story before, but I had an interview at Disney once, several years ago, for a social media position.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I applied on the Disney Careers website, and I hadn't at that point. The only interview I'd ever been on, I had been on two. One for Thrifty, the drugstore, which is now Rite Aid, and I got the job as ice cream scooper.
That a boy.
Nice.
Black Walnut.
Which
best ice cream ever,
Black
man.
Walnut.
Thrifty with the little.
This is in Pleasanton. Then we didn't have Black Walnut. We
Chocolate
had
Malted
Black
Crunch.
Cherry. Chocolate malted crunch,
Malted
top
Crunch.
seller, and it was great because I put the scoop on the cone, and then I would hand it to the child, but behind the sneeze guard, and 9 times out of 10 they would grab it and look so confused when their little hand hit the. Anyway,
He's literally never changed.
never changed.
You're not going to get hired by Disney.
Right. Well, and then from there I went to Starbucks and totally aced that interview. But then I got a job at a homebrew shop for 14 years. So short story long, I hadn't been on an interview in 15, 16 years. So I just kind of forgot everything. I just was trying to be myself. And so I get the call, and I'm talking to the recruiter, and I think things are going fine. I had my Disney shirt on, my Disney mug, my Disneyland hat. I was ready for it.
Dork.
Here comes,
Total dork.
Here come and it was one of those interviews, Kyle, where you blew it,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
but you don't know until after you've blown it that this was the moment.
This was the kill shot.
She goes, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I go, I don't know, just, really doing something creative. And then it was the silence.
I'm not trying to laugh at you. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Don't even worry about it. I'm used to it. And I'm like, and I'm smiling, and in my head I'm going, you suck. You wasted it. You blew it, and you can't get it back. And she goes, okay, well, we'll keep your information on file, and we'll let you know what's going on. And I followed up, nothing, never got back. And I'm like, that was it. And this was probably 5 years ago. 6 years ago?
There at the time.
It was a while ago, yeah. It was probably 5.
Was it pre you?
No.
Okay, so it was probably 5 years ago. I still think about it. It haunts me. So
It's a good lesson to learn.
It's a good lesson to learn, right? Be prepared, because and then researching helping Taryn actually research other questions for interviews and stuff. That's what is on every stupid interview, right? Is where do you see yourself in 5 years? The answer is not, I don't know, doing something creative.
The answer is also not in your job. That you don't say that to the person interviewing.
No, they want us to know what your passion is and what your drive is.
Yeah.
What's your ultimate end goal?
God.
Another thing that I just want to say, because it's topical, you mentioned you were wearing your Disney shirt, your Disney hat, had your Disney mug, all that stuff.
Yeah.
If you're applying for an Imagineering job, it's good to make sure that they know that you like Disney, but don't go overboard.
I will say this was on the phone.
Okay.
I will say this was a phone interview.
That's fair.
So I was good.
I don't know why in my brain, but I was picturing this as like a Skype interview.
Yeah, well, because he was wearing. I'm like, well, that must matter.
Yeah, and then I'm just like, hey!
You think you blew it with that question. You blew it as soon as it connected.
Yeah, well, I answered the phone in my Mickey Mouse voice. Just letting her know.
Oh, you had to do the Donald. The Donald is literally selling.
Trust me, I did the Donald once I hung up the phone. Delaney in the chat asked, what's your reasoning for becoming an engineer, Kyle? This is about you personally, and I like it.
So this is again. Remember, I told you one of the lessons is to know what you want to do for Imagineering and not what you want to be an Imagineer.
Yeah.
I did not get good understanding. I did not have in high school good understanding of what's difference between an architect, engineer, and a scientist. And when I actually went to school originally, I was going to be a scientist because I wanted to build buildings and building roller coasters, physics. So I should build physics.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, realistically, I should have been an engineer or architect. And nowadays, I lean more towards the architect side. Engineering basically the line that I was hit when I realized science wasn't anything I liked. Because I was like, wow, this is all theoretical, and I really don't care about this. I want to know how to build buildings. And I luckily had school, and I thought I wanted to learn. I found out that I wanted to be a structural engineer. And it's funny, today I don't do buildings still. I do land development. But you kind of take that path, take opportunities, you find it, and you find passion in what you do. And I'm really happy where I am. But it was a weird path. So
It sounds like it. She has a follow-up. Did you get to pick which park you work at?
No, absolutely not. And you don't work at a park. You work in LA. Unless you're really lucky, then you do get to work in Florida, or one of the parks. But most teams work in LA. In Glendale.
I'd put air quotes over the lucky in working in Florida, but that's just me.
Well, there's a big design team in Florida, so you'd actually get to do meaningful. Well, I guess you get to do meaningful work wherever you want. I don't know. There's some. I mean, you had an interviewer on the other day who was talking about show quality services that he works with that team.
Yeah,
that team's awesome. I've always thought, and I've always thought it would be amazing to work for that team.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I should introduce you guys.
Oh yeah.
If it matters, I don't know. I mean, who knows? Who really cares? I don't know if Kyle gives a crud.
Wow.
I don't know. He's like, whatever,
No,
dude.
no,
I don't
doing
work there
something
anymore.
creative.
I don't care. I don't know.
I'd be happy.
Being creative. It's like Kyle going, well, where do you see yourself in 5 years? I don't know, building stuff. All right. You got the verbal pat on the butt.
Thank you
Okay.
for bringing in your Lincoln logs, sir. Please leave.
No, I gotta show. Blobber in the chat says, if Disney decides to build a ride, from executive decision to people getting onto the ride, how long does it take? And on average, how much are the cost estimates on par? He's Canadian. He speaks different language.
No, I know who Blubber is. I mean, I heard him the other day on your other show.
That's true.
Yeah. That's a great question. I'm going to tell you every project's snowflake and different. It depends mainly how the project gets started, what the goals are, and what it's earmarked with. It can take, if it's a land, it's going to take a lot longer than like a single ride. But I know rides that have taken a year, and I know rides that have taken 10 years to go around. I mean, they spent. Am I breaking up?
No.
Oh, you're here.
Okay. They spent 10 years on developing the ride vehicles for Indiana Jones alone. So
you would think
just a type of car.
You would think like the way tech works, in 10 years, what they started with is what they have is kind of already outpaced what is current, right? I mean, maybe not. I don't know.
Well, no. I mean, they were working on the tech for 10 years and developing it.
Oh, okay.
We're only able to get it there after 10 years.
Jeez.
And rides go through. There's a lot of different ways that Disney makes decisions, and they like to talk about corporate synergy, and that's pretty much the number one way right now. So if you're able to come up with a good idea that gets greenlit, it's probably going to be about 5 years, and the cost estimate really just depends on the team. So,
yeah. Okay.
I mean, you look at rides like Little Mermaid that came in under budget and then had to be redesigned 3 years later, or rides like Tower of Terror that came in under budget or above budget but still had to be redesigned 10 years later. Or
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought Tower of Terror up.
I'm sure he is too.
We do have a question from Instagram of all places about this is the quote. How did the whole Tower of Terror thing happen? Did anyone get fired for that idea? And I'm assuming they meant killing Tower of Terror and making it the Marvel thing, but that's been a topic of debate here on the show and obviously online. What can you tell us about any sort of the mindset of why would you kill a ride that is popular for something else?
So I'll tell you, I'm going to answer this really roundabout. So first of all, Disney, when they do research in the parks, those cast members with the tablets, whenever you leave, they ask you questions at the end of the day. Tower of Terror never really scores very high, and it never actually has a big draw. And one of the things that Disney talks about is they use two indexes, ridership and draw. And what Tower of Terror had was it had a huge ridership but a very low draw. So they knew they had something good, but they also knew that they didn't have something that people really were coming to the parks for. So, no one's really care. I hate to say this because I care. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people care, but people don't care about the Tower of Terror theme as much as they care about going up and down in the ride. I mean, you hit the nail on the head, I think it was 2 weeks ago, talking about that. And Disney recognizes that. And Guardians of the Galaxy is their new synergy opportunity because it's the movie that's coming out that's going to be big, that has the budget, that comes out at the same time that they could get the ride development done. So I'm going to tell you that's probably why it's like that. I can tell you that it was originally intended to be an overlay for the first one, and it never got off the ground. And then someone kept pushing it, and then not only did it get off the ground, but it snowballed into something way bigger.
Who kept pushing it?
That guy should get punched in the face.
Yeah, who kept pushing it? Was it Kim Irvine?
No, it was. I mean, honestly, the original concept was great. I mean, it would be an overlay. It'd be seasonal. It would be just for the sale of the movie. Rather than putting another new movie in Muppet Vision, why not change the ride to actually match this and do it for like 3 months and advertise with a new ride, and then you can take all that stuff away and then put it back up when you do the sequel.
Yeah, for sure. And I personally, I think it's the other way around. I think the queue is amazing and the ride is terrible.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Okay. I just want to make sure because that and that's what I think bugs me more than anything. They're getting rid of probably the best queue in the entire in both parks.
Between that or Indiana Jones.
In Indy, yes, you're absolutely right. But but on the other hand, what person under 30 has seen an episode of Twilight Zone?
Right.
No, you're right. Yeah.
Well, and plus, I think we as fans appreciate the queue. I mean, if you're going as a guest, like an average guest, and you're going for the day, you're not talking about the cobwebs.
Yeah,
that's true.
And the ambiance. You're talking about, oh my God, that drop. You know?
That's a good point.
You're right. Yeah, I don't like that, but I think you're right.
Yeah, and they're not selling to us. I hate to say it.
Right.
I wish they were.
And
they're not selling to us.
Dude, and so, okay, the other day, Disney posted on their Facebook page some deal about, yeah, that's right. It was the end point for Tower of Terror. So, like, ride it before it goes away, or extended stay is what they call it, whatever. Anyways. And so I never really do this, but I looked at all the comments because I noticed there was like, oh, God, I think 1,200 comments or 1,600 comments. Literally. Every single one of them was someone going, "What are you doing? How dare you? I'm never going back." Like, that was my favorite ride. Granny, got her 80th birthday party, whatever, right? Like, all these memories. Yeah. And people were hyper upset. And then the next day, there was almost 3,000 comments, and I looked again, and it's all the same. Maybe a couple people were like, "Well, guys, it's Disney, and it's going to be really good." Nobody says, "I hate that ride. I'm glad they're changing." Nobody was happy about it.
I agree. Disney, I think this is the most controversial change they've ever done in any of the parks.
Right. And so does management look at this kind of stuff and go, "Hey, the people are actually talking. Maybe this isn't the best thing to do, and we should kind of pull back on this"? Because they did it with Mr. Toads, right? Weren't they going to kill Mr. Toads, and then everyone got all...
He already died.
Too soon. And people, was there like a petition or something, and then actually like, "Oh, we're not going to save it anymore because everyone really loves it," and then now no one goes on that ride?
I don't know about that, but I have a feeling that the wheels are way too much in motion. And honestly, I think that their research is still right. I think a lot of people are making a big fuss because they're hearing about it now, and they know that they like Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
And I don't think people are realizing it's going to be the same ride, just themed differently. So I really don't think people are realizing that.
So, okay, so just so I make sure, because one of my main points is there's still almost an hour wait no matter when you go. It's not that people weren't riding it, it's that people weren't talking about it enough.
Yeah, people weren't coming to the park for it. It was just absorbing people, and quite honestly, it doesn't absorb that many people. It's a low-capacity ride for what it is. So they want to make it a bigger draw.
I want to say that you're wrong, but you're probably right, and you probably have facts to back it up, and I just have a feeling.
I have a feeling he knows more about it than you do.
Whatever.
I know a little bit more. Not a lot, just a little.
Oh, man. Okay, so did we cover what we were supposed to cover, Terrence?
Yes, we did.
Okay. So, Kyle, awesome. Here's what I want to do. Because we first started talking about our Ears Up Imagineering shows. And so I put it to everybody in the room to pick our favorite reimagineered thing and just real quick run it by you. And I want you to tell us if that's the dumbest thing you've ever heard or if it's actually a viable thing that could work.
All right, not blue sky, just actual practicality.
Actual things, yes. Like, would that happen? Does that make sense? And where should we send our resumes to? Okay. Terrence, I want you to go second. Taryn, go first.
Okay, sounds good.
Mine is in DCA, the boardwalk area, and where there's those 4 carnival game buildings right now that have those, in my opinion, terrible carnival games.
I don't know what you're talking about because it doesn't exist in my mind. But sure, go on.
Okay. Well, in my version, it continues to be boardwalk, but the 4 carnival game buildings change. The first one is an area for character meet and greets. The second one has a small carnival shows daily, like eating fire and sword swallowing, like actual carnival things. The third one is a soda shop featuring fancy floats and ice cream sundaes. And the fourth is a fortune teller suite. And you never know which fortune teller you're going to get, which would entice people to visit multiple times. Some of the fortune teller options might include Esmeralda, or the Genie, or Rafiki, or Madame Leota. Or the fortune tellers from Robin Hood, et cetera, et cetera. And this would work a lot like Turtle Talk with Crush, where there's a video with ongoing audience participation. So that would be the main selling point of this area.
I actually think that's a really cool idea. I think your fortune teller idea is a little bit too big for that part of the park, the actual space wise.
Yeah, Taryn.
But everything else I think is great. I think if you scaled down the fortune teller and made it an individual paid for experience, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
That's something that they could do. I honestly like it all.
Thank you.
I think it's great. But there's not a lot of space back there. In fact, there's so little space. I don't know if any of you know this, but when they put in Midway Mania, they had to knock out one of the emergency exits for Screamin'. And if you get stuck at a certain point on Screamin' at one of the block breaks, they actually have a cherry picker parked behind Midway Mania that goes up and has to be lifted to come and get you.
Oh,
and bring
that
you
kind of
down.
makes me never want to ride that again.
That's how little space they have back there.
Oh boy.
Oh well, okay,
Yep.
because it butts out to the sidewalk on the other side.
You've got the sidewalk on the other side, and you've got a slim line of buildings, and then you have a really, really long parade float storage building behind there.
Okay, got
Yeah,
it.
the Toy Story parade is back there.
Bev.
You said Terrence was going to go second.
Yeah, but I lied. I want the girls to go first.
Okay.
So the guys can take it in the end and finish it.
From my understanding is that the girls are going to be better.
Well, you haven't heard mine.
I want to make I want a fondue palace. I want a fondue palace.
Funny enough, mine does relate to food. Not necessarily fondue, but we can come back to that.
Okay.
I hate you.
I know.
Mine was take the sailing ship Columbia and dock it somewhere in the rivers of America so you don't have two boats circling the same river. And completely gut it and make it a restaurant, like a high-end restaurant, but theme it, like have the restaurant be themed for as like a swashbuckling kind of thing, and have a show, like a sword fighting show, happen during your meal.
So they did that a long time ago.
Look at you, Bev.
Yeah, and they had the Captain Hook's fish sticks or something at
They could sell
in Fantasyland back in the day. Yeah, they did. But so my opinion on that is that river's too narrow to park a boat in it right now. So you need to rebuild the river, which with what they're doing, I mean, they could honestly do that. They would never take the Columbian docket. They'd have to build a real building that looks like a boat.
I'm fine with that.
And it would probably kill Fantasmic, which right now is a major sell for them.
Really?
So, yeah, I mean, come on, Fantasmic.
It's in the name.
Sorry.
I mean, come on.
So I apologize.
But I mean, like, but they've done that before. At the Captain Hook show, they used to have I'm pretty sure they used to have pirates go around and do live entertainment as they sold fish sticks. So
fish sticks.
I do love the fish sticks aspect.
Google me on that. I could not be 100% correct. But
No, I want you to be correct. In my mind, you're correct, man. All right, Terrence, go for it, buddy.
Okay, so they were asking me
to fire this up.
They're asking me to do the Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter,
No.
but we're not going to do that one. We're not going to do that one, Kyle. No, we're not going to do that one.
I was kidding. So good.
Okay, so this is mine. This is mine.
Yeah, wait, first of all, before you get into it, let's be clear. We weren't asking you to do that. We were asking you if you were going to.
No, it's the same
And
thing.
subtly, but not so subtly mocking you.
All right. Just because I'm imaginative. So,
Is that what? That's what it is.
that is what it is.
It's a movie that you copied.
So,
oh my god,
because
that was so terrible.
Okay, mine is.
Hang on, All right,
go
so
for it.
anyway, so because a lot of the characters in this land are outdated and a lot of people aren't growing up on them anymore, Toontown becomes Arendelle. So
Thor?
Kyle, did I just hear you laugh at me?
It becomes what?
Arendelle, the city from Frozen.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He literally just threw
Hear
up
me
in his
out.
mouth.
Hear me out.
Remember that interview story?
Hear me out. Just hear me out. Hear me out.
I don't know. Do something creative.
So the entrance. So the entrance. I didn't talk during yours, all right?
Sorry, Terrence.
So the entrance is a remake of the courtyard from the movie. The backdrop, the berm, is going to be the ice castle that Elsa winds up, making later on in the movie. Goofy's Playhouse becomes some form of skating rink. Roger Rabbit becomes a dark ride detailing, major portions of the movie. The Gadgets Go Coaster becomes Olaf's Summer Adventure. You'll have a snow cone stand in there called Kristoff and Sven's Ice Delivery. The Anna and Elsa meet and greet will be in there. And you'll also have a store called Do You Want to Build a Snow Bear? So it'll be a snowman Build-A-Bear store in there as well.
Actually, I think that's a really good idea.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
No, it's not a bad idea, and that's what I hate saying. I'm just gonna let it go. Okay,
No,
just let it go.
Just let it go. Don't hold it back anymore.
No, it's a good idea. I'm personally against the idea of building a land to an IP, an individual IP.
Okay.
You've missed the synergy by a couple of years, so it probably wouldn't be greenlit.
Okay.
And to be completely honest, it's not, and I'm not trying to discount you in any way, but there's no oomph to it. You know, It doesn't have, what's your sell point? You know, what makes it special other than the fact that it's frozen?
Okay, I get that.
You know?
Needs that
it
factor.
I miss Maelstrom. I'm just going to say it.
Right.
Never got a
No.
chance. Never got a chance.
Never got a chance?
No,
Yeah.
we were Tara and I
But
were there last year, and it was already done.
But I can tell you that, like, the reason they did that, you know, the oomph factor there is that scene with the drop at the end with the let it go whole thing. You know, that was the big oomph that sold that ride.
Okay.
So you got to have something like that. You got to have a big sell.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
I feel like also an American Idol. All right. Thanks, Simon. Appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome.
Hey, it could have been the X Factor or whatever when they hit
whatever.
the button. I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Next.
Let's see.
Oh, that's
Which
yours.
one do I do?
You were supposed to do this before the show.
I know, but look, I got really important things to do. Okay, Tahitian Terrace. So next to Jungle Cruise, it's currently themed as Aladdin's Oasis, but with Moana coming out, it's the next big Disney Tahitian thing. So trick it out that way. We don't know much about that flick yet, but have some traditional Polynesian dances, sort of like the Tahitian Terrace used to be. Tahitian Terrace, not Terrace.
Thank you. I know.
Like, I had no idea.
I just found out your
Tahitian?
your Halloween costume though.
Tahitian Terrence.
Tahitian Terrace. But bring that back. You got the fire dancers. You have the kind of the traditional Tahitian fare, because nobody really goes into Aladdin's Oasis anymore. I know now that they kind of opened it up and they're doing some stuff in there. This was before that, but that's my idea. So you bring back some of the nostalgia for people who all they want is nostalgia.
So I think the fire dancers is a good idea. As far as making it a restaurant,
Oh, sorry. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
there's not enough space there, and there's not a big enough kitchen. It would require some reconstruction to one of the other local facilities to do that.
Yeah.
And it'd be too big of an investment. And there's this magic word that you've heard a lot recently called ADA or OSHA.
Uh-huh.
And you'd have issues with that, and it probably cause cascading changes to a lot of the parks. So they probably won't do that.
So you
There
would
are
ruin
areas in
everything.
Disneyland that are untouchable because if they touch them, they have to change too much. So
Like what?
Autopia.
Yeah, what? Yeah.
Here's my
No,
idea as an Imagineer. Get rid of Autopia.
Yeah, you want to talk about Autopia real fast?
what about it?
Well, I don't know. It seems like one of the rides that, well, I don't know.
It takes up so much room.
It takes
I
up so much room,
I
but
agree. It takes up a ton of room.
Yeah.
It's not a big sale. It doesn't have a huge ride capacity.
right.
Adults hate it,
Yeah.
even though kids love it.
Literally hate.
It's not up to date. Like, what is it doing in Tomorrowland? Can we at least get electric vehicles out there?
Get some Teslas.
Yeah, I mean, anything. And could it have a theme? Could it have anything?
Are they talking about, or were there conversations about doing something, like gutting it, changing it,
Yeah.
doing anything?
Yeah, there were. There were tons of. I mean, My Sage, I'll tell you, back in the day, had it right when they first started talking about Star Wars Land and how it would replace Tomorrowland.
Yeah.
And that was the original concept. And I can tell you that that ride was going to be gone and there was going to be things back there. But they wanted to expand the park. You're again going back to your last guest. You talked about capacity is king. Capacity and ridership's always king. So tearing out things to put in new things with the same ride numbers doesn't make sense as adding more ridership. Ridership is the number one thing inside a Disneyland Resort. It's the number they look at every day.
Okay.
So it's how they sell it. So,
Interesting.
yeah, I can get on a really big tangent here, but if you want. about ridership.
Sure, go for it, man.
So Disney, the way they run the park is there's a magic number of how many rides you actually are going to get on in a day, and they want that number to be somewhere between 12 and 10. So if they overstaff the park on a light day and that number gets up to 16, they will actually back down staffing, back down the amount of ride vehicles that are out to bring it back down to 12 or 10. And on a heavy day, they will actually get rid of or bring in more people, bring in more attractions, do other things so they can get that number back up to 12 or 10. So nowadays, they look at rides and they want to make sure it has at least 1,800 guests per hour is what they like to say. But rides at 22 or 3,000, for instance, are way more sellable. So you have big rides like Indiana Jones and Indy that goes 2,000, 3,000. You have rides like Star Tours that can take 22. You have Spacebound that can take 1,600. And when they looked at taking Tomorrowland and closing that down and pulling out about 4,000 people per hour ridership, as well as other show experiences, that was terrible compared to expanding the park out and just taking out a measly 2,000 for the Rivers of America experiences.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Really, the Rivers of America experiences handle 2,000 people a day? Is that what?
No, per hour.
Per hour, okay.
And don't quote me on that number.
I was gonna say, that's surprising. That seems pretty large.
But I can't tell if it's large or small.
I don't know
hear
the actual number. I was just
No, I understand.
Okay, but even just the guess, right? Like let's pretend that you're totally right. It's 2,000 people per hour. You hear the number, it's like that doesn't make sense because the area is big. But then you look at what is there to do.
So you got to remember you've got the keel boats that take you to the island, and those can hold probably about 30 people. And there's two of them making a trip every 5 minutes. Maybe 10 minutes. Let's do 10 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's 60 people times 10. So that's 600 people. You've got the Mark Twain riverboat that can hold, I want to say 50 people, and it probably makes a trip every 20 minutes. So that's 150 more people. You could do the same thing with the Columbia for another 150. And then you've got the canoes that take about 20 people every 5 minutes around the island for another 1,200. And if you add that up, I'm doing the math right now. 15, you get 2,100. So it's probably about 2,000.
Jeez.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow. That's incredible.
Kyle, you've blown our minds today.
Totally.
Dude. I do have a lot more stuff I want to talk to you about, but we've already been going for an hour and a half or more, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I hear you.
And I want to save it for another time.
Absolutely.
Actually, with you, it's been a little over an hour. But I want to talk more about Shanghai because you and I chatted a little bit about some cool stuff going on there that you had your hand in. We want to talk about some more of the Imaginations thing. Just kind of, get a little deeper into it if that's even possible. But if you wouldn't mind coming back on at a later date, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, let's not wait on this one. Let's do it soon.
Yeah,
okay.
I agree.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. And, I'd love to do it. So
cool.
Let's do it.
I appreciate it, man.
Next week.
All right. 20 minutes. Take a break. Get some food. We'll be right now. Yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. I think it was really cool, and hopefully you helped some people out there get a job, man.
I hope so, too. I hope that, and I know, honestly, if you're not looking for Disney as your job, or if you are, and, you don't think it's going to work out, I hope that you still take this advice to heart, because I think it's good for any company. So.
For sure. Absolutely. Yeah. All right, man. Have a good night, Kyle. Appreciate it.
All right. You guys too. Have a great one.
Thanks, later.
And thanks for having me on.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Put that money to good use.
You know I will. That Tesla needs a new coat of wax.
Yep.
Whatever. All right, man.
All right.
Later.
Oh, man.
That was insanely amazing.
We could have gone for another hour easily.
Oh, for sure.
I have a bunch of questions that I wanted to ask him. And so he was kind enough to spend a lot of time giving me an outline about kind of what he can and can't talk about. And there was a lot of stuff, like a lot of the Shanghai Disney stuff was really interesting, but sometimes the interview just goes where it wants to go, and I think we did a good job.
Well, and the chat room is like, bring him back, please bring him back.
We will, yeah, for sure. I want to get Matt back, too, and talk about some other stuff. We have a lot of people we want to bring back.
It's been a good show so far, man.
It's been a good show, man.
That's insane.
You ready to kill it with some Disney news?
Yep. Well, are we going to do Disney news or are we going to do feedback?
Do feedback.
We can't do
feedback.
both.
Go ahead, do feedback turn.
Okay.
We can do whatever we want.
Okay. The first one's from Jasmine. Hi, everyone. About a month ago, I did not care for podcasts at all, despite growing up with a mom who has always been obsessed with them. She recommended I listen to a podcast about Disneyland, but I was like, maybe later.
Fair enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, she came to visit a month ago, and on our 1.5 hour drive to the park, we listened to Disneyland versus the People. And now I'm obsessed. My mom lives on the other side of the country from me, so I'm really grateful to all of you guys for such a fun podcast that we can discuss together. I know this is rambling a bit, but I have 3 things I want to share with you guys.
Okay.
1, on my last trip with my husband, we rode Pirates, and as we passed the auction scene, we heard, "We wants the redhead," and both turned to each other at the exact same time and said, "Terrence was right."
Terrence was right.
2, the past few times I've been during the summer, it's been very surprisingly dead. My mom raised a Disney Pro, so the longest we've ever waited in a line is maybe 25 minutes. But for the most part, it's been super easy to get just about every ride done in a single day.
Really? In the summer?
I know. I don't know.
Disagree.
Fast passes, I guess. She's got it down.
Oh.
And finally, you mentioned in your last podcast, which I don't know when this was, the deal with active duty and veterans. And I wanted to add that they also have an incredible offer where you can get a 3-day park hopper pass for about $140. Also, my husband is active duty with the Navy, and on our last visit, we were upgraded to the very top floor of the Disneyland Hotel for free as a thank you for his service, and we got a ton of really awesome gifts in the hotel room.
Wow.
Disney treats active members like royalty, and we were so grateful for everything.
They should.
I'm at the parks about once a month, so I hope to run into you. At this point, I think I might even recognize your voice, but to be honest, I would probably freak out internally and immediately text my husband, "They're here," while sneaking glances at you. Again, thank you for the awesome show, and I can't wait to hear the next one.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you, your husband, for his service.
Yes.
Personally, I think that active military should be let in the park for free.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think they should get to do a lot of things for free.
Yeah.
But I think that was really cool, and that's Disney magic, and not everybody gets it because it sometimes it depends on who checks you into your
Who you
hotel
talk
or
to,
whatever,
yeah.
and
For
who
sure.
you talk to. But it's really cool when people do.
We had a piece of feedback. It was more of a show suggestion about doing something because Memorial Day is coming up here in a couple months.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about it, but those avenues are out there to explore. If you're a member of the military or in a military family, I think you can get some pretty good deals on hotel rooms and tickets and all that kind of stuff. So I'd like our crack research team to get together and try to see if we can figure all that stuff out and put maybe a little segment of a show together for that.
Yeah, totally. I think it's a great idea. The next one is from Haley. Hey, I'm a little bit behind on the podcast, and I was just listening to the history of Tower of Terror. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, we're a little behind on feedback. So
you guys commented on spending less on the costumes since no one may notice small changes. But I would have agreed until I went to Disneyland Paris. They seem to have gone so cheap there that it is so sad. I totally noticed, and it made a huge impact on my experience. Lots of love from Vancouver, Canada.
Well, thank you.
This next one's from Rich. Hi.
Hi, Rick.
Hi.
I think he's talking to you, Bev.
Hey, how's it going?
That's the end of the feedback.
Yeah.
Hi. Tell
You
Bev
should have
hi.
you should have sent that to me.
He says, love the podcast, and Taryn, keep a chin up. As another person who thinks outside the box, people that live in the box just don't get it. So my question is, do you have a timetable on Fanny Pack Club and the Churro Challenge? We're going to the park on the 21st, and I want to do the Churro Challenge. Thanks, Rich.
So I did email Rich back. There is no timetable on either. You can do the Churro Challenge, what we've called pulling a Terrence.
All day, every day.
All day, every day, whenever you want to. The Fanny Pack, and I emailed you, Rich, but if you want to be part of the Main Street Fanny Packers, the hottest new social club, I think I said on the Instagram bio, it's like the most practical social club.
Bro,
That is true.
We're growing by leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Like every time I go on Facebook, like some random person has the fanny pack on. I'm like,
Love
that's
it.
awesome.
I love it.
totally
Our
love
tagline needs to be function over fashion.
I can
Totally.
update that. I can update that.
Totally.
Send me an email, jason@earsup-podcast.com, or through the Facebook or whatever, and I will get you. I will get you all the information. Basically, patches. There's 3 of them. It's $25 per set, man, and that helps pay for the artist and helps pay for the patches. We're not making anything of it because no one wants to make money on a social club patch.
Right.
It's not what the thing is about. It'd be different if we were going to have like if we were all local and all lived kind of in a general area, and then we can have meetups and do cool things, because there are social clubs out there who do cool stuff like charity work and all that kind of stuff, but we're just we're kind of an internet social club, so whatever. But yeah, man, no timetable at all, and hopefully you can get your patches in time. I still haven't got an email from you, bro, so if you're listening now, what's up with that?
Okay, so the next one is from
and good luck on the churro challenge.
Yes, good luck.
Please update
And remember,
us.
it's to pull a Terrence, you do one churro in every land. To pull a Greg, it's one churro at every cart.
It's every single churro.
All the churros.
Also, we're not responsible for any medical bills.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
sure you know that.
Yeah, in 5 years, you're going to see one of those like lawyer commercials. Have you tried the churro challenge from a popular podcast?
If you've pulled a Terrence.
Yeah. If so, you may be be awarded.
Call Vincent and Vincent. Goodness gracious.
This next one is from Rebecca, and I'm going to par it down just a little bit, but her name is Rebecca Amber. She listens to our podcast, of course. She lives in town, and so she'd like to come and visit one time when we're doing this.
Never. Yeah, come on down.
So, of course, I didn't read it till today, sorry. And then she likes Terrence Thanks, but most importantly, of all the Disneyland podcasts, now I'm reading hers. I find that this one is the most well-produced in terms of sound quality, content, broadcast. Shut up, everybody. I hate you all.
You don't have to explain. We understood that
I
you
just wanted to make sure.
I know.
I'm going to start that over.
You're adorable.
Of all the Disneyland podcasts, I find this one to be the most well-produced in terms of sound quality, content, broadcast consistency, and personality of each of the hosts. I oftentimes describe it to friends as varying parts NPR, relatively sober drunk history, and Disney.
So just history.
Exactly.
The warmth and humor of the show that this show provides makes time in between the park visits so much more bearable, and at times exciting, knowing that there is always there will always be a next time at the Disneyland Resort. Now that
That's a nice thought.
Yeah, I think so too. Now that it's around the corner, I think it would be really cool to do a special on Disney trips. Oh, this is the military one.
There you go.
She's the one that suggested doing the Veterans Day military thing. So I think that we will. I think that's a really great idea. Thank you, Rebecca. Sorry, Rebecca Amber. Rebamber, she says. She gave herself a nickname.
Ramber. I was doing it in my head.
Okay, the next one is from our friend Holly, of course. I think she writes in after every show. I love her.
I love her.
She says, I love you.
Great. We love you too.
Weird.
There's so much love. She says, but I can only listen and re-listen to your archives so many times. I think I've listened start to finish 9 times, maybe 12.
Whoa.
Whoa!
I love her even more now.
I know JP and Bev do the Brewing Network, but are you also on others I should check out? Which podcasts do you guys listen to, recommend, Disney or otherwise? Feel free to record more often so I don't have to re-listen to the old ones over and over again.
We aren't really the Brewing Network, but I have started a podcast with Kanye. AKA Anthony, my nephew. It's about cosplay, and it's called The Builders of Cosplay. You can go to buildersofcosplay.com. We just launched our first episode last week, and we have 12 listens so far, which is amazing. But yeah, it's a monthly show, so expect even less. So if you're into cosplay, I don't know, spread the word. It should be cool. The first episode is a little weird, but we're going to have actually like guests, like people who are in cosplay, not just Anthony, although he'd probably prefer that. And tips and tricks and prop making and all that kind of stuff. So I think it should be pretty cool. And, we'll see. Whatever. I like talking for free, apparently. So we'll figure it out.
I have 3 suggestions. Depending on what you're into. So All Songs Considered is NPR, and listen to that a lot. Also, Stuff You Should Know. It's just random information that you should know, like how to build a house. It's just the weirdest.
What am I, Amish? I should never know how to build a house.
Maybe. What if you need to build one day?
I would never.
I believe it's a barn raising.
He's going to pay someone.
And then also the Pixar podcast is good as well.
And there's a Pixar podcast.
Yes,
there needs to be more. So, okay. So we went to Dave Matthews Band a couple weeks ago.
Yes, we did.
Terrence and Taryn and I. And it was really cool. We have a mutual friend who works as an audio engineer on the tour, and so he got us backstage. It was really fun. And I had the best idea. You should have a podcast. either after every show on the tour, every week on the tour. And just either play like a live song, like release a song that was done live at one of the shows during the week or that night's venue. Talk with the roadies a little bit about what happened on the show. Have a couple personalities. Maybe talk with the band just for like 2 minutes.
Right.
Like, hey, how did you think the set went? Like, blah blah blah. Maybe kind of boring, but I think diehard fans would really like that.
Right.
And then I got to thinking, more things need that. Like, I am shocked that Disney does not have a podcast.
Like their own.
Like their own podcast. I'm shocked that they don't have one. Yeah, like they're gonna hire this mess.
I know.
But you know what I mean? Like more places need that. I think, especially entertainment spots. And what was the relevance of this to you? What you just said? I forgot.
There wasn't any. So go on.
No, even better.
Perfect.
Podcast to check out. I like Lore. There's a podcast called Lore. The guy basically writes kind of scary stories based on historical, happenings or whatever. I don't like his delivery so much. His delivery kind of bothers me. His voice kind of bugs me, but it's really fascinating. There's a podcast called Very Bad Wizards that is not clean podcast. It's a dirty podcast, but it's a psychologist and a philosopher. And they're friends, I guess, and they just talk about weird topics having to do with either psychology or whatever the other thing I just said.
They're not wizards
at
all.
They're not wizards, but they talk a lot about Mr. Robot, that show on TV. They do a lot of pop culture stuff. They do a lot of stuff on movies. And it's really fascinating. It can be kind of over my head. I don't know how smart you are. If you're smarter than me, then you'll probably get it all. But it's over my head. But it's really interesting to listen to. What else do I listen to, Taryn? I think that's it.
Do you listen to the Mike Rowe one?
I don't.
I don't mind that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really listen to podcasts.
I don't really either. Like that's.
I just listened to the first.
I don't really either.
But I listened to the first season of Serial, and that was the most amazing thing
don't
I've
even
ever
start
heard.
the second season.
Cereal was, yeah, I agree.
The second
one
was a stinker. I don't, for being into podcasts, man, or at least doing podcasts, I don't listen to a lot of them. I don't have time. No, I don't have time. That's not true. Well, yes, that's true. I'm
not judging.
I don't drive. I don't go anywhere. I'm home. And so when I'm home, I have my distractions. I don't love podcasts so much that I have to not watch TV or not, quote, read a book or do any of the weird things I do at home enough to listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
I just don't. That's not my thing, I guess, because if I'm listening to a podcast, I'm doing something. I'm doing the dishes or whatever, but then my list of chores is very small, and then I have listen to a podcast for 20 minutes, and I go, well, now what? Now I got to stop it, or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, should we move on?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's talk more about me.
Okay. How about no?
Okay.
This next one is from Tiffany. She wrote in today. This is very current.
Tiffany.
Hi, Ears Up. So I left some feedback some time ago when I first started listening, August 16th to be exact, when I only had listened to about 2 of your shows. And I said you guys had a lot of negative things to say about Disneyland. And I just want to take it all back. I think the first show I listened to, though, you talked crap about all of my favorite things, Fantasmic, Thor, Tower of Terror. And I swear you made a comment that the food sucked. So I was like, whoa. But listening more, I totally got a better idea of who you guys are and felt the love you guys have for the park. I think I also said in my feedback that I don't think there's much that I don't know about the parks. Well, I take all that back too because I've learned so much from you guys. I've been listening for a month and I've already caught up with all of your shows. Having a boring office job really takes a toll on you. Well, anyway, I'm heading to Disneyland and DCA at the end of the month, so I'll be looking out for a lot of the things you guys have pointed out, and hopefully we'll get a churro shirt before my trip.
Yes. Yes, do it.
I'm also in the East Bay area, so it was so weird to hear that you guys are so close. Okay, sorry, this is so long. Keep doing what you all are doing. Thank you for fueling my Disneyland addiction. Sincerely, Tiffany. P.S. You guys should totally do a Fantasmic history show, including the music so I can cry. Tower of Terror episode was my favorite. Okay, thanks, bye.
Awesome.
We read hers, and I read it really fast. Yeah, we read it last time we recorded, and I thought it was really funny, and because it was in our like negative section. But I think it's really cool that she wrote back in, and she's I've listened to some more, and now I get you guys, because I think that's what it is. If you hear one of them, then you go, wow, these people are terrible people, and why do they have a Disneyland podcast? They hate it there.
Yeah, I think it does take figuring our personalities out to understand that we love Disneyland so much that we're doing a podcast for free about Disneyland.
Yeah.
Right.
But, also we have opinions on it,
Totally.
And
then the last one here is from our good friend Dan Shaw.
let's save Dan's.
I made it real short.
Oh, you did? Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
He wrote in about that album that he really wanted us to listen to.
Yes.
And we listened to a little bit of
We
it.
played the Tom Waits one, and we're like,
So he
never
wrote,
cared.
he wrote in and basically says, stay awake. He's going to defend it to his death. Some albums are meant to be listened to as a journey from start to finish. He really wants to encourage us to listen to the whole thing front to back. He says, I understand how it could come across as terrible if you cherry pick the two strangest tracks, but please set aside 45 minutes to go on the full journey. Everything that you pointed out as faults in the podcast are aesthetic choices. Tom Waits, he will grant us, is an acquired taste. He says
Which is true. And,
Yes.
look, I'll give Dan the benefit of the doubt. We did cherry pick the two weirdest tracks.
No, you're right.
That's
For
true.
sure.
He says, I'm pimping this album aggressively, not as some rabid fanboy, although I doubt that, but as someone who has genuine appreciation for good music, good storytelling, and Disney in that order. Give it a solid chance and try to meet it on some common ground, and it will open up a wonderful new world of sound for you. He says, give it space, give it time, and if you still hate it, then we simply have different tastes. And I pared that down a lot.
Dan is very passionate about this album, and look, I dig that. I
I think
definitely
it's
don't want to
awesome.
slam that.
It's a really good email if you guys want to read it.
Yeah, it's. I don't know if I'm going to ever do that, and maybe it's
I will.
Okay.
I would.
Good. I mean, maybe it's just the iPod generation now, right? That kind of ruined albums.
I agree.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes I'll listen to albums, but they're terrible, like rock and roll albums, right? Like no one's gonna listen to them.
Can I listen to the album instead of doing
I was about to say that she can do that
Instead of
review
doing
instead
what?
of the movie.
doing the movie?
No, you got to do the
You
movie.
still need to do the movie.
I can't even find the movie.
Well, that's true. I
Talk
thought
to me.
you said-
We'll figure
I
it
thought you
out.
said Sam was going to figure that out for you.
Yeah.
Rent
so when
it
I
on the
asked
internet.
Sam to rent things for me on the internet, he's like, "That's stupid. I'm not getting that for you." Literally every album I want to listen to, every movie I want to watch, he's like, "You have terrible tastes." So
He's
no.
not wrong. Where's the lie though? Anyway, if you guys are into the Disney album thing, what was the album again? Do you have
It's
it in
called
notes?
Stay Awake.
Listen to it. Dan's super stoked about it. And I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. It sounds like a really funky, interesting album. I'm not going to lie, Dan. I probably won't do it, but I'll think about it.
Maybe I'll just turn it on like Saturday morning, and Jason won't know what's
45
going on.
minutes. What's that?
Yeah. Well, we can do that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Dan. I really do. Let's do some Disney news real quick, and then we're going to get out of here. It's a 2-hour show.
March in the past, present, and future.
there's some cool
with
stuff.
all the news that's fit to
I don't
cover.
care.
It's
I know you
Years
don't.
of
Never
Disney
cared.
News.
Very clear.
Never cared.
Zero cares.
Okay. Just 3 real short stories. Don't worry about it. Stick with me, folks.
Stay awake.
Disney produces a robot with quote-unquote very fluid movement thanks to air-water actuators, which this is kind of cool. So we've talked about it before, like Disney, they're putting a lot of research into just a lot of different stuff, a lot of robotics area. Anyway, there's something called Jimmy, a robotic puppet developed by Disney Research that moves with incredibly fluid motion thanks to combination air-water actuators. The robot doesn't move on its own, though. It just mimics the movements made by a human in the room behind it wearing video goggles and manning 2 arm controllers. I think it's kind of cool, and so there's a bunch of videos on it. Check it out. Here, I'll just turn this off. It's on a website called Geekology, but I'm sure if you just Google Disney very fluid movement, whatever. Dude, check this robot out. Here, come on, stop it. There it is. Look at it. Look how smooth that thing is.
Oh, wow.
And so I'm looking at this. I'm going, that's the future of animatronics.
That's kind of crazy.
It's right here. Here, let me back it up. This is the future of animatronics. I mean, it looks...
It's like drumming, but it's...
Yeah, the robot's moving its arms around, and you can tell it's not, obviously a real person because it has harsh starts and stops.
But it's not like compliance, like what you see on Pirates, where
Right.
it looks a lot more fluid.
Very fluid, yeah.
Right, and so so that's why I wanted to bring it up because, in 5 years maybe, this is the future. This is what we're going to be seeing in the parks.
That's awesome.
Maybe, who knows, right? Gathering stuff, picking stuff up. It's pretty... Jimmy Robot Puppet Test. Google that. It should come up. Pretty fascinating stuff. Wow, and threw a roll of tape at someone. Anyways, but that's cool. I like seeing the future The future is now.
The future is now. The future's now, Steve.
Soon we'll be able to integrate our phone, TV, and computers.
Yes!
You can be playing Mortal Kombat with a friend in Vietnam. Walt Disney World has begun requiring children from 3 to 9 years old to have their fingers scanned when they enter the theme parks, just like the older kids and adults. Disney said the new process will help block the use of stolen and shared tickets. Previously, kids' tickets would have been easy to transfer because they have no finger images attached to them. So when you buy, like you get your Magic Band at Disney World, you got to scan your thumbprint. Now they're doing it with kids, and I guess people are kind of hacked off about that. Parents who feel uncomfortable with having their kids' finger scanned can use their own instead. They introduced scanners more than a decade ago that use finger geometry.
Why would it matter? I mean,
honestly, I don't know. I can't think of a reason why people would be upset about that, but they are, because it's people, and people want to get upset at other people.
like it seems a little invasive, maybe, but I feel like it's really not.
Yeah, not terribly invasive at all, I would say. That's strange.
I think they're going to sell it or something. I don't know. It's just weird. Whatever. If you don't think that the government has everything they want about you, then you're wrong. And then last but not least, see, I told you it's very painless. Disney now wants to fire explosives, drop confetti, and shoot lasers from drones.
Oh, yes.
First, there were drones with screens attached and puppets hanging from the drones. These are all patents that Disney's filed. At the time, Disney indicated that it was interested in using drones for entertainment within its theme parks. More recently, they filed a patent for projectors attached to drones. We talked about that a few segments ago. Disney parks also already use projection technology in many of its nighttime shows. They requested that it be able to fly drones within the theme parks in late 2015. Again, these are all patents they've filed. But just last month, Disney was at it again with another patent for a drone. This one will fire lasers at guests who will be armed with laser-deflecting lightsabers. Again, we talked about this a couple times ago. Remember that clickbait article that was like, oh, they want to build a working lightsaber. No, they don't. Right. Stop it. But this is cool. Fire lasers. And I think we were talking about it. It's probably going to be like a training session. I'm so smart. Now there's another new patent, this one for a drone that fires fireworks. Now Disney wants to strap explosives to drones and fly them over
like
near the theme parks. All the drones are required to fly over areas with no guests, so lagoons or other vistas are the most likely locations for the new show elements.
If any other company said this, I'd be like, this is ridiculous. Disney, I'm like, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, right.
I trust them.
I trust them.
How many drones are going to get shot down by the other drones' fireworks?
Right? Oh, that's going to be amazing.
But I mean, drone fight. That'd be amazing.
Just the logistics alone and like the choreography of the drones and stuff. That's tough. That's going to be complicated. Okay, we're done.
We're done. That was. I think this is now the record for the longest show we've ever done.
Oh, for sure.
By far.
Yeah, totally. It's over 2 hours.
Yeah, I feel like we did too.
Yeah. Abby's sitting here. Abby, you want to say something to everybody at home?
Well, you just
did, goofball. Abby, I heard you. Okay, the microphone's not on. Don't worry about it. I heard you started school recently.
Did you start school?
Yeah. Do you like school? What do you like school about? What about school do you like? Recess. You like recess?
That a girl.
Recess is great.
How good is your mom at driving a car?
On the freeway.
You gotta speak.
You gotta tell them.
Yeah, what did you say?
You said earlier we were talking about my driving.
It's okay, silly.
My mom does not know how to drive her car on the freeway.
Is that true? Yeah.
No, she's not.
She's nodding.
She already understands
What a jerk.
not to use verbal. Okay, do the fact of the show and let's get out of here. Harper Goff, who we talked about on a previous show, finalized details of the layout of the Jungle Cruise on site by using a sandbox that simulated the attraction footprint. He used his foot to sculpt the sand into the shapes of the river and its banks, locating landmarks along the way. Then workers would replicate these forms using their bulldozers and shovels. Can you imagine, like, you're essentially your foreman or the guy in charge is using his foot
That's amazing.
Just put it here, like on the arch. I wonder what part of the river is his arch of his foot.
That is amazing.
It's cool,
so
right?
Cool. It's so cool to think about that happening.
It's weird. Like, of all the things, like, why not use your hands? Why are you using your feet?
Maybe
he loves sand.
Maybe
why not?
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us. It's been a long show. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks to Kyle for coming on. Thanks to Jeremy from Spectro Radio. And we'll see you in the parks.